As summer heated up, the days ticked by, finally bringing the long-awaited summer break for the university students. During this time, Leo's backyard, as he thought of it, was peaceful. There were no heart-stopping, dramatic blow-ups to give him a migraine. His girlfriends were all living their lives in a state of harmonious coexistence. This was mostly because 3 of them were college students. One was Isabel, who held the deeds to 2 invaluable properties in a prime school district, and another was the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man. Aside from weekends and evenings when they were free from work or classes to get cozy with Leo, they were all quite busy. And Leo, for his part, had meticulously maintained the various firewalls that could have exposed him. As long as no outsiders interfered, it was impossible for them to pick up on any clues. He figured he could keep the secret going at least until his 3 student girlfriends graduated. By then, even if they did find out about his messy life, he was confident he'd have a strategy ready. Of course, Leo had been busy too. His company's first film was a runaway success. More than 3 months after its premiere, major theaters across the country were still keeping it in rotation. Film companies in dozens of foreign countries were scrambling to buy the rights for remakes or to dub it into their own languages for local release. To date, Ingenuity Media had signed copyright contracts with over a dozen international studios. In just a few months, the film's critical acclaim and box office revenue had filled the company's coffers to bursting. However, with the film's popularity came a whirlwind of activity for Leo as the company's chairman. A constant stream of business events and press conferences kept him swamped. But these were all prime opportunities to grow the company, and whenever he had the time, Leo never turned one down. For every appearance and press conference, he had to prepare meticulously for media interviews to project a professional image for his company. Thankfully, with summer break starting, company business was finally slowing down. Leo could take a breather and spend a few fun-filled days with his girlfriends. At 6 in the evening, inside the offices of Ingenuity Media, Leo was browsing the resumes sent over by HR. They were all for the secretarial position, and every single file was a detailed profile of a woman. After casually flipping through a few, he lost all interest and closed his laptop. He had no desire to call any of them in for a trial run. HR had been trying to fill this position for over 2 months, but not a single candidate met Leo's criteria. The ones with professional competence lacked the look he wanted, and the ones who met his aesthetic standards lacked the skills of a qualified secretary. Ugh, when did I become so superficial? Leo sighed to himself. Surrounded by his girlfriend's stunning beauty, his standards had become ridiculously high. He went through a dozen resumes a day, and not one woman caught his eye. In his mind, the perfect person for his personal secretary was Isabel. She had the work experience and the mature, alluring presence. But Leo couldn't bear to ask her to sell the properties that were her livelihood, so he was stuck letting HR handle the search. Just then his phone buzzed. A new message. Elf Princess. Dad, are you busy? The sudden address made Leo pause for a second, but he quickly guessed it was Maya using Chloe's phone. Ever since their big fight had evolved into their current state of peaceful coexistence, the 2 best friends' relationship seemed to be moving toward a new kind of compromise. Maya knew Chloe's personality inside and out. Whenever the 3 of them were at home, Maya was always expertly testing Chloe's boundaries. She had even managed to get to a point where she could shamelessly join them in bed with her pillow and blanket while Leo and Chloe were cuddling and whispering, and Chloe would just accept it. Using Chloe's phone to message him was something both Leo and Chloe had gotten used to. But calling him Dad from Chloe's account was a first. It felt strangely thrilling. After all, his sweet girlfriend would never use such a morally corrupt term. "You're so amazing, Leo," was the absolute limit for her. Offline mode. "You better not forget to delete that. You're such a handful." Sweating emoji, Elf Princess. Hee, so you're not busy then. The message had barely popped up when a video call request from Maya came through. Leo accepted, and Maya's bright, smiling face appeared on screen. "Hey, darling. What are you up to? Am I interrupting? Just trying to make a living. What else?" Leo glanced at the room's decor. It was Chloe's bedroom, and Maya was lying on Chloe's bed. "Where's Chloe? Are you home alone?" "Right here," Maya said, flipping the camera. It panned over to Chloe, who was sitting nearby, wearing pink headphones, listening to an English audio lesson. The weather was hot, and the AC was on, so Chloe was dressed in cool, loose shorts and a t-shirt, her fair thighs on full display. What was even more ridiculous was the way Maya was filming, starting from Chloe's feet and panning up. Anyone who didn't know better would think it was a professional film shoot. "What's wrong?" Chloe noticed her friend's strange behavior and took off her headphones, looking confused. Maya smiled mischievously and handed Chloe her phone. "Hee, our boyfriend is looking for you. Get out of here," Chloe blushed, but was used to her friend's bluntness. She took the phone happily, aimed the camera at herself, and cutely brushed aside the hair her headphones had messed up. Leo the pig, not busy today? First Maya, then Chloe, all on Chloe's phone. The way they shared without any jealousy was even more harmonious than the dynamic between Lily and Isabel. Leo couldn't help but wonder if it had something to do with that accidental kiss the two of them had shared. Leo paused for a beat, then smiled. Not busy. I'll come home to be with you tonight. Huh? Just Chloe. Maya squeezed in front of the camera, hugging Chloe's soft body and putting on a pitiful expression. Leo, what about me? Didn't you think about me? I'm your girlfriend now, too. Leo rubbed his nose awkwardly. Ahem. Well, I'll listen to Chloe on that. Maya knew perfectly well that Chloe was a jealous person and that Leo couldn't be openly affectionate with her in front of Chloe. But the little troublemaker still loved to ask him suggestive questions right in front of her, leaving Leo at a loss for words. You get your turn after me. Don't you know how first come, first served works? Chloe saw Leo's predicament and smugly pushed her friend's face away from the camera. Hee hee, but sometimes the last shall be first, Maya said, then planted a playful kiss on Chloe's soft cheek, making her blush and push her mischievous friend away. You're impossible. The two of them started roughhousing right there, completely oblivious to him, the scene charged with a playful, intimate energy. Leo was beginning to understand why some people had a thing for watching two women together. Who wouldn't be captivated by a sight like this? If he could just join in and mediate the battle. Well, that was something he didn't even dare to imagine. Ever since Leo had mentioned he'd like to occasionally eat a home-cooked meal, Chloe had started spending more time in the kitchen. Though her results were usually disappointing, her spirit was unbreakable, and her cooking had actually improved slightly. As of 3 days ago, her food was officially edible. When Leo got back to timeless impressions, Chloe was just tying on an apron, announcing that she was going to cook the entire meal herself, without any help from him or Maya. Leo couldn't argue with her, so he and Maya settled onto the living room sofa to kill time playing a MOBA on their phones. But as they played, Maya started getting restless. The temperature outside was over 85 degrees, and the AC had been running nonstop. Maya was wearing a silky, cropped pajama top that only covered the essentials. She was sprawled lazily on the couch, her long, pale legs twisting and turning in front of Leo, a flash of pure white catching his eye every now and then. When her character died in the game, she playfully stretched her bare foot out, deliberately brushing it against Leo. As she pulled back, she'd drag it teasingly across his leg, sending his mind racing. The living room wasn't far from the kitchen. The back of their sofa faced the kitchen, and Chloe could see them both with just a turn of her head. Hey, the next time Maya's foot reached for him, Leo grabbed it nervously. He was about to remind her that Chloe was right there and might get jealous, but just then, Maya parted her legs slightly, giving him an unobstructed view. Maya, stop messing around, okay? Leo's heart pounded as he looked away, pulling her pajama top down to cover her. If she sees this, she's going to be mad at me, not you, he pleaded. If he hadn't seen her profile, he would never believe this girl was inexperienced. Her teasing techniques were anything but amateur. What's there to be afraid of? Maya grinned, kneeling on the sofa. She crept over to him, and with Chloe's back turned, she brazenly kissed him, her face flushing with excitement. Dad, honestly, I'm starting to have some regrets. Leo froze. I regret that we're all living together like this, Maya whispered excitedly. I think I prefer sneaking around behind Chloe's back. It feels more thrilling, don't you think? Maya herself didn't know why she felt this way. She cared deeply for her best friend. After so many years, she would never want to hurt her. But every time Chloe was nearby, Maya couldn't resist making a move on Leo. It was just so damn exciting. Leo was speechless. He just gave a weak smile. Maya, you are a very bad girl. Just as he'd suspected, Maya loved it when he used her first name like that. Overjoyed, she climbed right into his lap, wrapped her arms around his neck, and touched her nose to his, her breath warm as she purred. So, do you want to punish your bad girl? Maya, stop, seriously. We just got Chloe to a good place. Don't start trouble. Leo truly didn't dare do anything to Maya right under Chloe's nose. He just wasn't into that kind of risk. Maya leaned in closer, like a little girl demanding a doll, her tone now a stubborn command. Then kiss me. Leo sighed and put down his phone. Fine, I'll kiss you. I give up. Maya loved seeing Leo give in to her demands. It felt like he was spoiling her. Grinning, before Leo could make a move, she leaned in and kissed him herself, thoughtfully turning up the volume on their game to cover the sound of their quickening heartbeats. A few minutes later, Chloe placed 3 dishes and a soup on the table. Leo the pig. Vixen, dinner's ready, she called out to the two of them, who were now sitting primly on the couch. Leo the pig was Chloe's affectionate nickname for him, common enough between couples. Vixen, however, was not. It was her public jab at Maya. After all, Maya had been making moves on her boyfriend right in front of her for weeks. Since Chloe had agreed to let Maya live with them, she couldn't exactly confront her directly, so she resorted to snarky nicknames. The frustrating part for Chloe was that Maya didn't care at all. In fact, she seemed proud of it. Of course, when Maya wasn't actively pawing at Leo in front of her, the two friends were as close as ever. They gossip, binge-watch shows, and sometimes even sleep in the same bed, dreaming about the future. Maya knew her friend's contradictory nature perfectly and could usually sweet-talk her into a good mood. Once Chloe was happy, Maya could go back to shamelessly flirting with Leo, and Chloe would just turn a blind eye or pretend not to notice. Having just betrayed his girlfriend right behind her back, Leo felt a pang of guilt. Maya, on the other hand, felt no burden at all. A pig and a fox, she teased. My dear Chloe, are you running a zoo? When it came to verbal sparring, Chloe was no match for Maya. Frustrated, she tried to pinch Maya's waist, but Maya dodged with a cheeky grin. Aha, you missed. All right, how old are you two? Stop playing around and let's eat. The three of them sat down at the table. Maya looked at the well-presented dishes and nodded in approval. Not bad. These actually look pretty good today. You think? I can handle the enemy on my own without you. Chloe huffed proudly, her earlier irritation vanishing instantly. Leo's mouth twitched. He was starting to feel that the person who understood his girlfriend best wasn't him, but her best friend of many years. He was the one who had come in second. After a cheerful dinner, Leo and Chloe showered and had just gotten into bed when Maya, shameless as ever, came in clutching her pillow. She slipped under the cool summer comforter between them, snuggled up against Leo, and rubbed against him contentedly. Seeing them both staring at her in silent resignation, Maya just giggled. Don't mind me. You two carry on. Just pretend I'm not here. So, do you guys want to go anywhere for summer break? Leo asked, his hand firmly gripping Maya's mischievous right hand under the covers. He smiled weakly, trying to change the subject. You have over a month off. Maybe we could take a road trip somewhere far. Yes, Leo the pig. Let's go to the coast and see the bioluminescent waves. Chloe immediately perked up at the mention of a trip. I saw a video from a blogger the other day of the blue tears, and it was so beautiful. If they're still there during the summer, let's go. That's all special effects to get likes, Maya corrected her seriously. Besides, they might not be there in the summer. It depends on the season. She pulled out her phone and showed them a few videos her friends had sent from the actual location. See, this is what it really looks like. It's not that exciting. Oh, well, that is pretty boring. Chloe's enthusiasm deflated. Leo, however, decided to test the waters. How about this summer? You two come with me to my grandpa's place? It's just outside Portland, a few hours' drive. I haven't seen him in a while. Sure. Maya agreed enthusiastically, then nudged Chloe with an expectant look. Chloe, it's a good chance for you to meet Leo's family. College will be over before you know it. Chloe knew what her friend was implying. She blushed and glanced at Leo. But Leo, you haven't even been to my house. I'm afraid my parents will say I'm not following etiquette. Leo rubbed his nose, instinctively deflecting. Is that a custom in Florida? Maya's hand shot out from under the covers, and she waved it dismissively. Don't look at me. I'm not getting married. How would I know? Maya was a staunch non-monogamist. Even though she really liked Leo, she had no desire to take him from Chloe and walk into the prison of marriage. She was perfectly happy with their current life. She could be with the guy she liked and live with her best friend of many years, all without any financial worries. It was paradise. This was also why Chloe had agreed to share Leo with her. Leo thought for a moment and then agreed. Since that's the custom where you're from, I'll go to your hometown this Christmas and meet your grandparents. Okay, Chloe nodded, beaming. Girls always wanted their boyfriends to show commitment, and she was no exception. Maya chimed in excitedly. After you two get married and start working, I'll stay home and take care of your kids. I'm going to tease that little one so much. Chloe rejected the idea with disgust. No way. Who knows what you'd teach them? And so, with their heads resting on Leo's shoulders, the two friends chatted idly about their future. Leo listened quietly, enjoying the peaceful moment, but dreading the day the truth would inevitably come out. Looking at his smiling girlfriend, and thinking about the day of reckoning, a sourness rose in his chest. He squeezed her hand tightly and made a sincere, bold declaration. Chloe Miller, will you marry me? The words hung in the air. The cheerful chatter instantly ceased. Both girls stared at Leo, his expression dead serious, in utter disbelief. The once lively atmosphere became eerily quiet. In a large bedroom, only the hum of the air conditioner was audible. Smack! Chloe slapped Leo's arm, sitting up abruptly. Her eyes were red, and her voice trembled with emotion as she scolded him. Leo the pig, what are you doing? Why would you ask me that now? Leo gave a bitter smile, thinking to himself, because if I ask later, I might not get the chance. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I wanted to see what you'd think, he said weakly, taking her hand again and repeating his heartfelt plea. Chloe Miller, will you marry me? I promise I'll be good to you for the rest of our lives. Chloe's immediate impulse was to say yes, but then she thought about how utterly unromantic the moment was and forced herself to hold back. She had always been a girl who dreamed of romance. In her mind, Leo would propose in front of their friends and family, a grand, romantic gesture, before placing an engagement ring on her finger. Not a casual question asked in bed. Even though Leo's attitude was incredibly sincere and his tone was filled with emotion, Chloe didn't want to say yes. Her best friend was frantically giving her looks, but Chloe bit her lip and refused. No, if I say yes now, it won't feel special after graduation. All right then. Leo didn't say anything more. He just sighed softly and stared into space, thinking that he might never have the chance to say those words again. He admitted that half of his proposal was a strategic move, but the other half was genuinely from the heart. It was a shame she hadn't accepted. The cheerful mood was shattered. The three of them were lost in their own thoughts. Maya saw Leo's crestfallen expression. He looked like a teenager who'd just been rejected by his crush, and shot Chloe a meaningful glance. Chloe was regretting it too. She loved this man. Of course she wanted to marry him. But there wasn't a single shred of romance in the air, and she really didn't want to agree so casually. Leo the pig, I take back what I said, Chloe said, nudging his arm and whispering seriously. Say it again properly. Yeah, Leo, Maya chimed in, smiling to break the tension. The way you said it. Even I, a person who never wants to get married, thought it was a little half-hearted. She nudged his arm, encouraging him. Go on, say it again. I'll be the witness. Okay. Leo looked at Chloe for a long moment, something in his expression shifting, and then he broke into a brilliant smile. Chloe Miller, will you marry me after you graduate? I promise I'll be good to you for the rest of our lives. His proposal was just as sincere and heartfelt, but this time he specifically added the words after you graduate. I will. Chloe didn't notice the difference in wording. It was just 3 words, after all, nothing she would overthink. She accepted, overcome with emotion, and then added a fierce threat. You'd better be good to me, or you're dead. Congratulations, congratulations. Maya clapped happily beside them, then adopted a mock-serious tone, like a wedding officiant. The groom may now kiss the bride. Dun-dun-da-dum, dun-dun-da-dum. Maya started humming the wedding march, both goofy and strangely charming. Don't look at me. Go on and kiss. Chloe, if you don't, should I? Get out of here. They both glanced at the quirky girl beside them, then looked at each other and smiled before leaning in for a gentle kiss. Leo the pig. After they separated, Chloe held his face in her hands and reminded him seriously, remember, you still owe me a ring, and you can only give it to me after graduation. Leo paused for a second, then quickly agreed. Yes, absolutely. After another busy week, the university students' most anticipated time of year finally arrived, summer break. Tourist spots all over the country began to fill up with beautiful young women. Business at the company had also slowed down. One afternoon, on a day approaching the holiday weekend, Leo drove from his office back to his villa in Willow Creek Estates. He planned to take a few days off to rest and spend the holiday with his girlfriends. Isabel had been busy the last few days, so only Lily was at the villa. The 2 little girls had finished lunch and were back in their room watching cartoons. When Leo walked in, he saw Lily in the kitchen, washing dishes. Every movement was both efficient and imbued with an unconscious tenderness. She was so focused that she didn't even hear him come in, continuing to scrub the dishes diligently. Leo stood by the living room sofa, just watching her. Lily was tall, with a figure that was nothing short of spectacular. Dressed in a floral print sundress, the 20-year-old college student exuded the aura of a gentle, domestic wife. It was remarkable. Leo felt a stuffiness in the air and noticed a sheen of sweat on Lily's cheek. That's when he realized the central air conditioning was off. After finishing the dishes, Lily used her damp fingers to tuck away a stray strand of hair. She neatly arranged the clean dishes in the drying rack, then meticulously wiped down the water-splattered countertop with a cloth. When everything was done, she surveyed the spotless kitchen with a faint, satisfied smile, then took off her apron and hung it up. This simple girl, together with Isabel, had brought a sense of peaceful domesticity to his life. She possessed the gentle competence of a young wife and the sweet shyness of a young girl. This, Leo thought, is probably the kind of woman every man dreams of. Lily turned, about to head back to her room to study, and came face to face with Leo, who was holding the remote and turning on the AC. Leo tossed the remote aside and grumbled, "If anyone found out I was making this much money and still didn't let my girlfriend turn on the air conditioning, I'd be crucified by the media. Are you trying to ruin my reputation? Have you had lunch? Do you want me to make you some noodles?" Lily was never good at handling her boyfriend's teasing and always diverted the conversation to something she could manage. "I already ate. Come sit, let's talk." Leo shook his head and gestured for her to join him. The sweet country girl obediently murmured an okay, quickly dried her hands, and walked over to sit next to him on the sofa. "Are you silly? You don't know to turn on the AC when it's hot? What's the point of saving a few cents on electricity?" Leo reached out and touched Lily's warm, sweet face, his brow furrowed with concern. "Don't do this again, or I'll spank you." Lily said, placing her hands on her knees and shrinking back shyly, letting out a soft hum of agreement. With nothing else to do, Leo played with Lily's slender, pale hand, playfully tickling her palm as he looked at her beautiful, flower-like face. "I just don't get it. You're a country girl, so having such good skin is one thing. But how is your figure so amazing, too? I don't understand." Lily didn't know how to answer. She just blushed, watching her boyfriend play with her hand, her clear, bright eyes filled with joyful dependence. Leo took the liberty of lifting her legs onto his lap, then pushed aside the fabric of her dress and began to massage her calves with just the right amount of pressure, continuing their idle chat. "The holiday weekend is coming up. Has Isabel mentioned any plans?" Lily shook her head. "Isabel said it's up to you." "I see." Leo paused, then asked, "Well, is there anywhere you want to go? Or anything you want to eat? I can take you guys out that day." Chloe was going to visit relatives with her parents on the holiday, so Leo would be free to spend the day at home with Lily and Isabel. Of course, since it was a family holiday, he would still have to have lunch or dinner with his own mom and dad. Lily was about to shake her head. She wasn't particularly interested in fine dining or tourist spots. But then a thought seemed to strike her. Her expression turned serious, and she nervously fidgeted with the hem of her dress as she asked tentatively, "I was hoping I could meet your parents. Is that okay?" Leo's hands stopped massaging her legs. He hadn't expected Lily to drop a royal flush like that. There was no way he could take her to meet his parents. David and his sisters were one thing. They knew about his player lifestyle and turned a blind eye. But Sharon, it was another story. If she found out he was doing something to betray Chloe, she would enact family law on him. But seeing Lily's timid, hopeful expression, he couldn't bring himself to refuse outright. He gave her a non-committal answer. "It's possible, but I'm worried my parents might be visiting relatives that day. How about I ask them in the next day or two? If they're free, I'll take you to see them." "Okay." Lily nodded happily, then added, "If it's not convenient for them, I can visit another time." Her complete trust only made Leo feel guilty. "I mean, do you really trust me that easily?" Leo asked, trying to lighten the mood with a joke. "I keep putting off taking you to see my parents. Don't you think I might be lying to you?" Lily froze, her delicate face clouding with a wounded vulnerability. "Would you lie to me?" That look of infinite, heart-wrenching tenderness made all of Leo's prepared excuses die in his throat. In that moment, a famous saying came to mind. Most women know when you're lying to them, but they care about you so much that they learn to lie to themselves. Lily was a perfect example. She seemed simple, but she was actually quite perceptive. She just wasn't good at expressing it. His constant delays would have tipped off any other woman to his player ways by now. After a few seconds of silence, as if he'd made a decision, Leo spoke with a new seriousness. "All right then, I'll tell my parents tonight. I'll have them cancel all their plans with relatives and friends for the holiday, just to welcome you, their little daughter-in-law. How's that sound?" The term little daughter-in-law made Lily blush, but she still nodded sweetly. Given her personality of not wanting to trouble others, the old Lily would have waved her hands and refused, telling him not to bother his parents. Her ready agreement now showed that this pure-hearted girl truly wanted to take that next step with him. "You'll be a sophomore after summer break. Graduation is only a few years away." Leo placed his hands gently on Lily's pale calves and made a sincere, heartfelt confession. "Lily, after you graduate from college, will you marry me?" Faced with Leo's sudden proposal, Lily's eyes widened in disbelief. Her thin lips parted slightly as if to say something, but no sound came out. Her beautiful, sweet face was a mask of astonishment, but more than that, it was filled with an unexpected, overwhelming sense of emotion. Say something, Leo urged, leaning closer to her. Lily, will you marry me after graduation? I'll be good to you for the rest of our lives. Is that okay? Lily whispered back, her voice tight with nervousness and uncertainty. If you marry someone like me, it'll be very boring for you. Lily watched TikTok videos. She believed that modern guys liked girls who were cute and bubbly, who could confidently show off their bodies and faces for the camera. Her own personality had always been more introverted and timid. Before meeting Leo, she had always wondered if a boy could ever truly like a girl like her, from a poor family, ignorant of the world, with no special talents, who often stumbled over her words. Now, with Leo's proposal, the deep-seated insecurity she had always suppressed came flooding to the surface. How could she not want to marry the man she loved? The simple girl had imagined her cozy life with Leo after marriage more times than she could count. While Leo was at work, she would manage the household. When he came home, she would cook and take care of the children. Lily had always dreamed of a simple, happy life with him, where he worked and she tended to the home. Now that her dream was coming true, that crushing sense of inadequacy made her feel utterly unworthy. Leo was so successful now, with so much money and fame. When Lily idly scrolled through short videos, nearly half of them were about him. Of course, that was partly because she liked every video that mentioned him. She naively believed that by liking, commenting, or sharing, she could help boost his company's reputation. She didn't realize that the algorithm was simply feeding her content based on her preferences. And what was she? A freshman in college with no assets, a frail grandmother, and a little sister in elementary school. The only two relatives she had were only now living a life of comfort she'd never dared to imagine, all thanks to Leo's help. How could she dare ask for more from him now? Just being by his side every day was more than enough. Hey, I like your quiet, homebody type, Leo teased with a smile. A sweet, simple girl like you. If I don't trick you into having 7 or 8 kids with me, what's the point? Lily's face turned bright red as she looked down, nervously picking at the hem of her dress, still not offering any response. So that's a no. Leo played hard to get, letting go of her hand. In that case, just forget I said anything. Instantly, Lily's head shot up. She grabbed his retreating hand and held it tightly, her voice thick with unshed tears. I do. I want to marry you. Leo feigned displeasure. I don't believe you. You hesitated for so long. That means you don't really have me in your heart. I do. Lily quickly clarified. In her simple nature, she didn't know any flowery, romantic words. In her panic, she just blurted out a brave, bold confession. Leo, I really, really like you. I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. It was the first time Leo had ever seen her so flustered. A genuine smile spread across his face. All right, let go of me. Don't you know your own strength? Only then did Lily snap out of her nervous state. She quickly released his hand, which had turned pale from her grip, and gently massaged it. Leo flexed his numb fingers, marveling at the raw strength of a country girl. Leo pinched Lily's slightly damp, smooth cheek, saying things like that in broad daylight. Aren't you embarrassed? What if the 2 girls upstairs hear you? In response to his teasing, Lily didn't say a word. She just gently took his hand in hers, her misty eyes filled with an inseparable reliance. Lily, I'll probably make you angry a lot in the future, Leo confessed, his heartstrings pulled by her gentle tears. The vulnerability in her eyes was devastating. Maybe on the day you graduate, I'll do something that really upsets you. Are you still sure you're willing? I'm so clumsy and I talk like a dummy. It's normal for you to get angry, Lily said, shaking her head softly and taking all the blame onto herself. She murmured, completely unconcerned, as long as you don't leave me, it's okay. Really? Leo asked, looking skeptical. He then held out his pinky finger with a grin. Then let's make a pinky promise and seal it, so you can't go back on your word later. Okay. Lily obediently held out her pale pinky, hooking it with Leo's. Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. Leo recited the childish rhyme quickly, then pressed his thumb against hers. He felt a strange sense of security settle in his heart. There, we signed a contract. From now on, no matter what I do, you have to forgive me and never leave me. Okay, Lily said, a happy smile on her face as she nodded gently. Then, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Leo apologized with utmost sincerity. Lily blinked, confused as to why he was suddenly apologizing to her. I just told you, right? Leo said shamelessly. I might make you angry in the future. This is me apologizing in advance. Lily blinked again, adorably lost. She felt like she could never keep up with her boyfriend's strange logic. Hey, I apologized. Aren't you going to say anything? Leo demanded righteously. Didn't you just promise that you'd forgive me no matter what I do? What? Are you breaking your promise already? Lily's brain felt like it was short-circuiting. In her confusion, she mumbled an apology. I'm sorry. I want you to accept my apology, not apologize to me. Leo nearly choked. Sometimes he really didn't know if Lily was genuinely this simple or just pretending. So, you want me to say it again? Lily asked innocently. Leo was about to repeat his lines, hoping to secure a legitimate pardon from Lily for the inevitable future disaster zone. But just then, he caught a flicker of a mischievous smile on her face. Oh, so you're playing games with me now, are you? Leo couldn't help but laugh. He tackled her onto the sofa, straddling her slender waist and pinning her hands on either side of her head. He looked down at her. Well, Lily, I didn't know you had it in you to be so sly. I have no idea what you're talking about, Lily said, a triumphant, playful smile on her face as she nonchalantly turned her head away. The next day, around 1 in the afternoon, Leo drove his BMW to a construction site managed by a subsidiary of a major engineering firm. It was where his father, David Shepard, worked. Leo knew his mother's personality. Sharon would absolutely not tolerate him playing two girls at once. Taking Lily to meet her would be a guaranteed disaster. David, on the other hand, was well aware of his son's messy affairs. The only thing his old man probably didn't know was that Leo wasn't just driving a boat with two sails, he was captaining an entire aircraft carrier. Leo wanted to negotiate a way for Lily to meet David alone, just to fulfill her wish of meeting one of his parents. After parking, Leo walked toward the blue modular office building and up to David's office. Unlike the dirty, chaotic workers' dorms downstairs, David's office was clean and tidy, with a tasteful decor. There was a coffee table in the middle of the room and several framed prints on the walls. David was chatting and laughing with a few supervisors in white hard hats. As the highest-ranking manager on site, David, the project manager, controlled all personnel, finances, and materials. To outsiders, the job looked easy, schmoozing with clients over drinks, making rare appearances on site, and generally being a ghost. In reality, the position required far more technical skill than people imagined. A project manager had to manage everything internally while also coordinating with a multitude of external parties. Without exceptional people skills and a silver tongue, the job was impossible. It was also the most lucrative position on site. The gifts a project manager receive in a year could be a small fortune, not to mention other perks. But David was a man of integrity. In over a decade in the industry, he had rarely allowed any corrupting influences into his home. His mom, Sharon, had called him blockhead for it more times than Leo could count. Dad, you busy? Leo asked, pushing open the glass door. Well, look who it is. What are you doing here? David's eyes lit up with surprised delight. He quickly turned to his colleagues and introduced his son with pride. This is my son, Leo, the one who makes movies. He's all over the internet right now. Oh, so you're Mr. Shepard's son. Your dad talks about you all the time. You're even more handsome in person. He really is good looking. Those eyes, that nose. He's the spitting image of his dad. Leo, you got a girlfriend? My daughter is gorgeous, and she's about to graduate from college. I'll introduce you two sometime. Gorgeous? That sounds great, sir. You name the time, and if I'm free, I'll be there, Leo said with a smile. Hey, don't listen to this kid, David interjected quickly. He's already got a girlfriend. She's been to our house for dinner. His mom and I both really like the girl. Haha, Leo, you're a sly one, aren't you? Not even married and already planning on playing the field, one of the men joked. After a few more light-hearted remarks, David led Leo out onto the metal-floored walkway, brushing some dust off his tall son's shoulders. Is it a slow day at the office? What brings you here? I gotta go have dinner with a client soon. Leo rubbed his nose guiltily. Dad, I want to talk to you about something. Seeing his son's hesitant demeanor, David's smile slowly faded. He looked at Leo suspiciously, his eyes widening in surprise. Is it about that girl? Yeah, Leo mumbled, thinking you old fox. He hadn't said a thing, and his father had already guessed what was on his mind. You kid, what am I going to do with you? David put his hands on his hips and paced anxiously, clapping his hands in frustration. Playing two girls at once is bad enough, but how could you be so careless? That girl seems so sweet and gentle. Why didn't you think about the consequences? Leo stood there silently, taking the lecture. If he wanted David to agree, this was a necessary step. How long has it been? David asked, seeing Leo's silence as confirmation. He sighed. Which hospital is she in? Have you been taking good care of her? Wait. Leo cut him off as his father's assumptions grew wilder. Dad, what are you talking about? I don't understand. David was also confused. She's not pregnant. No, Leo quickly explained. I've been framed. We're completely innocent. Innocent? Huh. Do you believe that yourself? David's eyebrows twitched. All right, if she's not in trouble, then what do you want from me? Dad, you know I've been busy lately and haven't had time to deal with their situation. She keeps saying she wants to meet you guys, and with the holiday coming up, I promised yesterday I'd bring her to see you. But I'm worried Mom will cause a scene, so I just want to bring her to meet you alone. Feeling that wasn't convincing enough, Leo strategically brought up Connor Sterling. Dad, you have no idea. With the holiday this weekend, Cassandra Sterling has been texting me every day, telling me to come over for dinner. David had been about to scold his son further, but at the mention of the Sterlings, he swallowed his words with a frustrated sigh. Seeing his opening, Leo pressed on, his voice full of conviction. I don't care what happens. You're the only father I'll ever acknowledge. I don't want to take her to see Connor Sterling. What's the girl like? There are a lot of bad girls in this world, David said, frowning as he thought it over. He neither agreed nor refused, instead asking a serious question. Your career is just taking off. Don't let what's in your pants ruin your future. Look at how many big shots have been destroyed by sex scandals. Dad, you can rest easy on that. Lily is a wonderful person. She's obedient, kind, just a simple country girl. She's even shy when she talks to me. Leo knew his father was worried he'd gotten mixed up with a bad woman. When a girl constantly insists on meeting her rich boyfriend's parents, it's either because she truly wants to spend her life with him or because she's trying to marry into a wealthy family. David sighed softly, staring off at the workers in the distance, lost in thought. Leo put on a pitiful expression. Dad, I'm in over my head here. You gotta help me. You should come home for dinner sometime, or at least give your mom a call, David said with another soft sigh. She's been talking about you nonstop these past few days. She might boss you around, but she really misses you. I know. I'll go pay my respects to the Queen tonight, Leo said, nodding eagerly. He knew this meant David had agreed. The holiday weekend itself probably won't work. I have to help your mom cook, and we'll probably have relatives visiting, David said after a moment's thought. Let's aim for the 20th. The holiday will be over, and your mom should be back at work. I'll take that day off and have a chat with her. No problem. Leo didn't object. As long as his father agreed to meet Lily, the date didn't matter. What's your plan? His father finally asked the question that had been weighing on him. Chloe will be graduating in a couple of years. That other girl doesn't look very old, so I assume she's a student too? Don't tell me you plan on hiding this forever. We'll see, Leo said, his emotions complex. He reached into David's shirt pocket for a cigarette, but after pulling one out, he hesitated and put it back. When you were little, I always tried to teach you to be more tactful, more socially adept. But you never listened, always burying yourself in computer games and novels, David said, quietly studying the child he had raised for nearly 20 years. I'm actually very curious. Why have you changed so much? Leo laughed. I don't know. Maybe this dog-eat-dog world finally knocked some sense into me. David chuckled, not questioning it. He seemed to drift into reminiscence. Well, you're all grown up now. Aside from your personal life, I don't have to worry about you anymore. In worst case, you can always go live with Connor Sterling. Sophie is a smart girl, and she gets good grades. I'm not worried about her making it in the real world. The one I worry about now is Riley. She's so careless. Your mom scolded her yesterday, and she hid in her room crying all night. With a personality like that, she's going to get taken advantage of as soon as she starts working. Leo listened quietly, thinking that it was true what they said online. Once men reach a certain age, they love to reminisce about the past. Just then, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Sophie. Sophie, bro, you're coming for dinner on the holiday, right? Remember to take me out. They're launching sky lanterns at the waterfront. Let's go make a wish together. Cute emoji. Offline mode. I'll be there, but I don't have time to take you out. I have plans in the evening. Sophie, what could be more important than hanging out with your sister? Don't tell me you're with Lily? Or is it Chloe? Thinking emoji. Leo knew immediately that she was trying to blackmail him. He typed back directly. Offline mode. Yep, I'm having dinner with her. And after 9, I'm going to see Chloe. You know how it is. Your brother's a player. Got to keep things balanced. The system had warned him to be firm with Sophie and never let her lead him by the nose. Leo was also certain she wouldn't dare expose him to their mom. His typing bubble appeared and disappeared for a long time. Leo could almost feel her surprise at his blunt response. But her next message nearly made him lose his composure. Sophie, Chloe, are you using my brother's phone? No one's using my phone. I'm busy. Talk to you later, Leo sent back as a voice message, annoyed. He couldn't figure out why his sister always imagined Chloe as some kind of venomous villain from a novel. David saw his son's impatient expression. All right, you go on then. I've got to get back to it. Call me if you need anything. Leo was about to nod and leave when he suddenly remembered something. Hey, Dad, I seem to recall that when we were kids, Sophie went with you to a construction site in Florida for a couple of years, right? I think so. It was probably when you were in high school, David recalled. I remember when I brought her back home. You two fought every single day. Before David became a project manager, when he was still just a contractor, he followed a construction company to Florida for a project. At the time, Sharon's job was demanding, often requiring her to work through the night, and she couldn't manage 3 kids on her own. David, feeling for his wife, took the youngest, Sophie, with him to Florida, where she attended elementary school for 2 years. Their financial situation wasn't as good back then. David didn't rent an apartment in Florida. Instead, he and Sophie lived in a shabby, modular trailer. Sophie had always been an obedient child. Knowing her parents were working hard, she never complained. In fact, she was fascinated by the schemes and social tactics David discussed with his bosses. Every time she saw them hesitate before signing a contract after one of his father's long-winded spiels, she felt an indescribable sense of accomplishment. David naturally wanted his children to have good people skills, so they'd be prepared for the real world. So he taught Sophie all sorts of conversational techniques. She was just starting middle school at the time and was eager for adult praise, so she absorbed everything he taught her. Sophie had always been a quick learner. Under David's tutelage, in less than a month, the young girl could charm all the adults on the construction site with her pretty face and honeyed words. By the time she returned to Portland, she could verbally dismantle Leo with a few sentences, leaving him red-faced and fuming without ever using a single curse word. The simple-minded Riley didn't dare provoke this master manipulator who had returned from her training. Leo vaguely remembered that the time Sophie was cornered in an alley by those bullies, it was because she had said something to provoke them. Okay. So it was you who taught her, Leo said, clapping his hands in mock admiration. The culprit who had armed his sister with the emotional intelligence and verbal skills of someone twice her age had been found. Taught her what? David asked, blinking in confusion. He had no idea how much Sophie had changed, only that his youngest daughter had always been a smart, bright student. Nothing. I'm heading out, Leo said with a sigh of relief. He patted his father's arm, clanked down the metal stairs, and drove away from the site. So what if she had a silver tongue? Could she really outwit someone with a cheat system? Sharon got off work early today. After buying groceries at the supermarket, she came home and started making dinner for her family. For the past few weeks, Mrs. Shepard had been absolutely radiant. She greeted everyone she met with a smile, her face constantly glowing with happiness. Like most middle-aged women, Sharon loved to brag about her children. In the past, at her office or at bridge games, she would mostly boast about her youngest daughter's excellent grades. Now, with Leo's film company thriving and Leo himself frequently appearing in viral videos, Sharon had become the center of attention at work, drawing the admiration and curiosity of her colleagues. Neighbors were constantly stopping by to ask about Leo, each one hoping for some exclusive information, as if it would bring them closer to the famous young director. Every time someone praised Leo's achievements, Sharon's heart swelled with pride. If David hadn't repeatedly warned her that their son's work was sensitive and that even a minor bit of public opinion could cause a major storm, she probably would have quit her job and spent her days at the community park, happily telling all the other ladies about her son. Of course, what this middle-aged woman was even more excited about was Leo's girlfriend, Chloe Miller, that sweet, lively girl from Florida. Sharon had always been very satisfied with Chloe. The girl was beautiful, with a bright and lovable personality, and she was exceptionally well-mannered and considerate, which made Sharon adore her. Chloe also knew exactly how to win her over. Ever since they'd added each other on their messaging apps the day Leo bought her the condo, Chloe had frequently charmed Sharon into a great mood. In her heart, she had already decided that this girl was her future daughter-in-law. Besides, their marital home was already prepared, and Chloe was bringing her parents over for dinner during the holiday weekend. Both sets of parents already considered each other family. Sharon was just thinking that once Chloe graduated, married her son, and had children, she would quit her job and happily babysit for them. I'm just a little drunken butterfly. Humming a cheesy but popular line dance song, Sharon happily prepped the vegetables, her movements light and joyful. Sophie finished her homework and came out of her room. Seeing her mom humming cheerfully in the kitchen, she walked over with a sweet smile. Mom, why are you so happy today? Sharon glanced at her youngest daughter. What? You'd rather I walk around with a frown all day? Hee hee. No thanks, Sophie said, sticking out her tongue playfully. Sharon handed her the basket of greens. If you're done studying, come help. Your dad will be home soon. Fine. Sophie had come out to probe her mother's opinions, so she didn't refuse, picking up a stalk of bok choy and starting to clean it. Ah, life is getting better and better lately, Sharon said, taking out the pork she'd bought and starting to slice it. She mused, your dad's work has been smooth sailing, and your brother is a huge success now. Life is so good, I'm almost not used to it. Sophie retorted, Mom, are you saying you want to go back to struggling? Haven't you seen what they say online? Don't go looking for hardship when there is none. It's not that. It's just that my right eye has been twitching lately, Sharon said, rubbing her eye. You know what they say, left for luck, right for trouble. Do you think something bad is going to happen to our family? Sophie rolled her eyes. What century is this? You still believe in that stuff? Some things are better to believe in than not, Sharon said seriously, then continued her train of thought. Do you think it could be something with your brother? What could happen with him? He doesn't have a new movie coming out right now, Sophie said, then paused, subtly guiding the conversation. Unless the paparazzi caught him doing something he shouldn't have. Sharon put down her knife. What kind of thing? Well, he's in the entertainment industry, and that world is a mess, Sophie said, giving example. What if he couldn't control himself and started secretly dating some other actress, and the paparazzi caught them? That would be the end of him. That won't happen, Sharon said, relieved, picking up her knife again. I watched Leo grow up. He would never do something like that. He has a girlfriend now. Why would he ever play two girls at once? Thinking of Lily Reed, the landlady, and even the millionaire's daughter who might also have a thing with Leo, Sophie's mouth twitched. Oh, Mom, your precious son isn't just playing two girls. It's way more complicated than that. You never know. They say money changes a man, Sophie teased. Hey, Mom, what if, just hypothetically, our brother really was keeping another girl on the side? What would you think? He wouldn't dare. Sharon's eyes flashed. If he dares to betray Chloe, I'll break his legs. Besides, she added, Chloe is so beautiful. That boy knows what he has. Why would he throw away a diamond to pick up a pebble? But what if he found someone prettier than Chloe, with a better personality, someone more gentle and wifely? What would you think then? Sophie asked, a knowing smile on her face. I remember you saying before that Chloe has a bit of a princess attitude. If she married him, he'd probably be the one doing all the housework. Sharon paused. She did remember saying something like that to David over dinner, but she was surprised her youngest daughter remembered. The truth was, no matter the era, most mothers hope their sons will find a girl who is family-oriented, virtuous, and completely devoted to him. Such a woman would not only help manage the household, but also wouldn't be flirting with other men. More importantly, girls like that are usually gentle and wouldn't clash with their mother-in-law. She would be the perfect daughter-in-law. Sharon had not seen those qualities in Chloe. Chloe came from a wealthy family. She was a classic little princess, coddled by her parents. She would probably remain that way even after marrying Leo. But thinking about this complicated world, Sharon figured that a gentle, domestic girl like that was probably an extinct species. She waved it off with a joke. If your brother really had the skills to find a woman like that and bring her home, I'd welcome her with open arms. Really? Sophie's eyes shone with an incredulous hope. If my brother really brings home a gentle girl like that in a few days, you'd really kick Chloe to the curb? Are you serious? Get out of here. I'll kick you to the curb, Sharon said, annoyed, sensing the conversation was going in a strange direction. Even if your brother brought home a goddess, I wouldn't get rid of Chloe. I made up my mind. That girl is going to be a shepherd, and no one is changing that. Remembering that David had told her to have a word with Sophie about her attitude toward Chloe, and that Chloe herself had mentioned in a message that Sophie didn't seem to like her, Sharon adopted a more earnest tone. Sophie, what did Chloe ever do to you? Why do you dislike her so much? That woman is a tattletale. I just don't like her, Sophie sneered. A sudden realization dawned on her. Leo's newly hardened attitude toward her was probably Chloe's doing, a result of her whispering poison in his ear. Yes, it has to be her. Thinking of Chloe's two-faced act, playing the victim in front of Leo, Sophie's face tightened with anger, her teeth grinding softly. Sigh, I don't know what happened between you two, but I'm warning you, Sharon said sternly. When Chloe's parents come for dinner on the holiday, you are not to cause any trouble. Do you understand? I know. Wait, what? Sophie snapped back to attention, staring at her mother in shock. Mom, what did you just say? Their whole family is coming here for dinner on a holiday? Yes. Chloe told me on a message yesterday. She said she wants to surprise Leo and told me not to tell him. Sharon nodded, smiling. Young people these days. I don't get it. What's so surprising about that? So, you're saying my brother still doesn't know? Sophie confirmed. That's right. She specifically told me not to. If I told him, I'd look like a clueless mother-in-law, wouldn't I? Sharon added, you're not to tell your brother either. I don't want Chloe blaming me. My lips are sealed. A mischievous smile spread across Sophie's face. She quickly washed her hands and said cheerfully, Mom, I just remembered I have some homework I haven't finished. I'm going back to my room. All right, you go on. Study hard. I'll call you for dinner, Sharon said, not thinking anything of it. She added, send your sister a message and tell her to come home for dinner. She's been going crazy playing sports all day. You got it. Sophie went back to her room and immediately pulled out her phone. She started to compose a message, fabricating a reason to lure Lily to their house on the holiday. She was planning a final showdown, a clash of kings, right in front of both sets of parents to completely expose Leo's player behavior. The holiday was a time for family reunion. For both sets of parents to meet on such a day signified that the couple was moving toward marriage. Sophie didn't know what Leo was thinking, but she wasn't going to let them continue on so cluelessly. If she intervened, she was certain that a woman with Chloe's personality would never tolerate Leo cheating, especially not right under her parents' noses. She would definitely break up with him. As for Lily, Sophie had only met her in person once, though they had chatted quite a bit online. From their conversations, Sophie had judged her to be an introverted and simple person because she answered every question directly. Moreover, everything Lily wrote was somehow related to Leo. Sophie figured that even if Lily found out the truth, she would probably just have a good cry, and Leo could easily sweet-talk her back to his side. Compared to the difficult Chloe, Lily would be much easier to manipulate. But just as Sophie was about to hit send, she stopped herself and deleted the message. If he asks Lily how she found out, and she tells him it was me, it won't be any fun. Sophie bit her thumb, thinking hard about how to sabotage the bad woman's family dinner with her brother while ensuring she herself could get away scot-free with a perfect alibi. She didn't want Leo to resent her for the rest of her life over this. Just then, an idea struck her. She found Jenna's contact information. Let us his life. Jenna, where have you been? I need your help with something. Cute emoji. The next afternoon, Lily finished her studying and went alone to the nearest supermarket to buy groceries. This particular store primarily served the wealthy residents of Willow Creek Estates. The produce was always fresh, but the prices were steep. If Leo and Isabel hadn't constantly told her not to pinch pennies, Lily would have preferred to walk a bit farther to the smaller, cheaper market. With the holiday approaching, traditional foods like mooncakes and fruit were hot sellers. The shelves piled high with gift boxes and fresh produce. It was summer break, so the store was busier than usual. As always, beautiful women and handsome men were a sight to behold. When Lily appeared in the store, pushing a small cart, she immediately drew a lot of attention. Guys would work up the courage to approach and try to chat her up. As usual, Lily would politely refuse, stating she had a boyfriend, then push her cart away without any further engagement. The women would uniformly look down, silently compare themselves, and then, with a heavy sense of defeat, hurry away. Lily was used to this kind of attention. She calmly pushed her cart, wondering if she should get some mooncakes for the two little girls. Hello, excuse me, are you Lily Reed? A polite female voice came from behind her, breaking her concentration. Yes, I am. Lily responded courteously before turning around to face the unfamiliar woman. And you are? Oh, I'm a high school classmate of Leo's. My name is Ashley Williams, Jenna said, improvising. Her eyes scanned Lily's incredible figure. She thought to herself, so it's true what Sophie said. She's easy to spot. I don't think any other girl in the entire school could compete with this body. Jenna had been nervous that approaching a stranger so brazenly would make Lily suspicious. To her surprise, this girl was exactly as Sophie had described, simple and easy to fool. Jenna merely shared a few basic facts about Leo, and Lily completely believed her claim of being his high school classmate. Not only did she successfully get Lily to add her as a contact, but Lily also repeatedly invited her over to their house for dinner. Having been a player for years and having seen countless men, Jenna's conversational skills were top-notch. Coupled with Lily's unwavering belief in her cover story, the two of them ended up talking for a long time at the supermarket entrance. Throughout the conversation, Jenna could tell that Lily cared deeply for Leo. Nearly everything she talked about revolved around him. Jenna fabricated numerous funny stories from Leo's high school days, making the simple girl laugh happily. Well, I should get going, Jenna said, pretending she was about to leave. I was just driving by and thought I'd visit my old classmate, but if he's busy, I won't bother him. She then casually dropped her final line. So, are you coming to Leo's house for the holiday? Have you met his parents yet? Lily paused, a hint of disappointment on her pretty face as she gently shook her head. No, Leo said his parents might be visiting relatives. I'm planning to visit when they have more time. Oh, really? Jenna feigned surprise, her eyes darting around. So Leo's not spending the day with you? On such an important holiday? Lily shook her head again, a slight pout on her lips. Leo had told her he could probably only come back for dinner that night. That's strange, Jenna said, looking puzzled. Leo invited a bunch of his old high school friends over to his parents' house for dinner. Why wouldn't he bring you? Lily hadn't known about this. She was silent for a moment, then forced a forgiving smile and defended him. He was probably worried I'd be nervous. I'm not very good at talking in big groups. Not at all. You seem like a great conversationalist, Jenna urged enthusiastically. Why don't you show up secretly on the holiday and give Leo a surprise? It's just a bunch of his high school friends, and he's your boyfriend. It's not like he'd turn you away, right? Lily smiled weakly and politely declined. It's okay. As long as he comes home to be with me in the evening, that's enough. You know, it's not my place to stir up trouble, Jenna said, switching tactics when she saw Lily hesitating. But a lot of our old classmates are going to be at this party. Look how famous Leo is now. I heard a few of our old female classmates are planning to catch up with him. Aren't you worried he might cheat? Leo wouldn't do that. I trust him, Lily said with a small smile, though her resolute attitude seemed to waver slightly at the thought of Leo organizing a reunion behind her back. All right then, we could chat more online later. I have to go. Adept at reading people, Jenna caught the subtle change in Lily's expression and made a move to leave, playing hard to get. Wait, hold on. Jenna had only taken a few steps when she heard Lily's uncertain voice call out. Can you send me the address to Leo's parents' house? Back at the waterfront spire, Chloe was in her bedroom, chatting with Leo in their group chat. It was a private group with only 3 members, Leo, Maya, and herself. Maya had created it and given it the bizarre name, the Happy Little Family. When Chloe was first added, the name had mortified her. She left the group several times, her heart pounding with embarrassment. But Maya had been so persistent that she eventually, reluctantly, stayed. Maya never posted anything too outrageous. She usually just shared interesting anecdotes with Leo and Chloe, or sent a picture of a tourist spot, tagging them to ask if they were interested. Chloe had to admit the group's atmosphere was nice, so she stayed, half willingly. Elf Princess. Leo the Pig. Leo the Pig. Are you sure you're going to your parents for dinner on the holiday? Offline mode, of course. Who doesn't spend the holiday with family? Unlike some people, who would rather go see relatives than spend time with their husband. Smirking emoji. Lying on her bed, Chloe giggled at his message, happily kicking her feet as she typed back. Elf Princess. Hee, watch it, Leo the Pig. We're not married yet. Besides, these relatives are really important. My dad has been nagging me for days to go with him. Offline mode, fine. But you have to make it up to me after the holiday. I've been saving myself up for you. Flexing emoji. Elf Princess, Leo the Pig, you're such a pervert. Angry emoji. My understanding good at Elf Princess. Chloe, you just don't get it. They say online that the dirtier a couple talks, the less likely they are to break up. Offline mode, exactly. That way, both sides have dirt on each other, and no one dares to be the first to break up. Am I understood? How are you doing? Feeling any better? Maya had spent the last few days of summer break cooped up in her air-conditioned room, playing games, and had come down with a slight fever. Maya, I'm okay. Not feeling too bad anymore. A few days of Dayquil, and I'll be fine. Thermometer emoji showing 98. 6 degrees Fahrenheit, held suggestively near her mouth. At first, Leo thought he was seeing things. He clicked on the emoji to enlarge it and froze. Offline mode. Whoa, that emoji does not look right. Shocked emoji. What's not right about it? I heard this is a faster way to take your temperature. Smug emoji. Elf Princess. I give up. You two are a match made in heaven. Maybe I should just leave so you two can live happily ever after. Smiling emoji. My underscore good. Is that an offer? At offline mode, what do you think? Want to try out my 100-degree fever? Elf Princess, ugh. You guys are disgusting. Elf Princess has left the group chat. Offline mode. You scared her off again. Maya, can't we just be normal for once? Sweating emoji. My understand. It's fine. I can sweet talk her back in a couple of days. But seriously, Dad, want to try me out at 100 degrees? You can come back now. Chloe's not home. Eyebrow raise emoji. Offline mode. Ahem, stop messing around. My right eye's been twitching lately. I have a bad feeling that something big is about to happen. Let's just cool it for now. Scared emoji. After several days of sweltering heat, the long holiday weekend had finally arrived. The relentless temperatures had evaporated massive amounts of moisture into the sky, forming heavy thunderheads that finally burst on the morning of the holiday itself. When Leo Shepherd woke up, The first thing he saw was a foggy gray world outside, with raindrops the size of dimes hammering against the glass. This weather. So much for enjoying the outdoors, Leo thought, letting out a lazy yawn. If his parents hadn't called him 3 times yesterday, issuing a direct order that he absolutely had to come over for a family dinner, he would have gladly spent this torrential downpour curled up in bed. He glanced blearily at Lily Reed, who was sleeping soundly beside him. She was curled on her side, facing him, just as she always was. Her sleeping position never changed. Who says you can't see the moon on a rainy day? Leo smirked, satisfied. He gently tugged the fabric of her pajama top, covering the 2 perfect, pale moons of her breasts, then got up to brush his teeth. The plan was to head over to his parents' place early for a meal, then come back in the evening for another family dinner with Lily and Isabel Vance. If he had time, he could even swing by Timeless Impressions to check in on his sick little darling, Maya. As for his little investor, Eleanor, her parents had whisked her off to her grandfather's for the holiday 2 days ago. Leo couldn't see her even if he wanted to. As the sound of his footsteps faded, Lily Reed slowly opened her eyes. She clutched the collar of her pajamas, her usually sweet and simple face clouded with worry, as if she were wrestling with a difficult decision. After getting ready upstairs, Leo went down to the kitchen. Isabel was making breakfast for everyone, humming a soft, nameless tune. She seemed to be in a good mood. The weather was cooler today, so she wore a light gray trench coat cinched at the waist and a pair of high-heeled boots, revealing only a sliver of her calves, which were wrapped in dense black tights. Her long, waterfall-like black hair fell over her shoulders. The coat accentuated her tall, graceful figure, radiating an elegant, mature charm unique to a woman in her prime. Tonight, I've come to your window again. Under Isabel's fond, chiding gaze, Leo sauntered into the kitchen. He wrapped an arm around her slim waist, looked into her expressive, almond-shaped eyes, and began to sway in a mock cha-cha, singing softly, "Your shadow outside the window is so lovely." Childish. They looked at each other for a quiet moment before Isabel laughed and tapped his nose. "How old are you?" Still acting like a little kid all day. When a woman calls a man childish, it usually reveals exactly how she feels about him. If she dislikes him, it's an accusation, a declaration that he's immature and lacks the stability she desires. But if she likes him, as Isabel clearly did, it was a form of playful, intimate banter. We guys only save our maturity for other people. We're only childish in front of the person we like, Leo said, giving her plump, round rear a light pat. You don't hate it, do you, Isabel? Isabel smiled and nodded, her eyes feigning annoyance. I do. It feels like I'm raising another son. Whoa, Isabel, you're into some kinky stuff, Leo teased, raising an eyebrow. I see you as my girlfriend, and you want to be my mom? Is that your thing? Should I start calling you mommy next time? You're asking for it. Isabel's personality was on the traditional side. As tolerant as she was, she couldn't handle that kind of edgy joke. Her face flushed red as she pinched his side, making him yelp in pain. I'm sorry. Leo apologized, caught between laughter and genuine discomfort. It took a moment for Isabel to let go, her cheeks still pink. She handed him the bowls and chopsticks. You and your weird comments. Make yourself useful and dish out the oatmeal, so it can cool. After their morning tussle, the 2 girls, Maddie and Grace, finally woke up and came downstairs, still groggy, ready for breakfast. Lily, however, hadn't gotten up, which was unusual. When Leo went back to the bedroom to wake her, he found her still turned away from the door, seemingly fast asleep. He decided to let her be. He returned to the living room. She's still sleeping, probably comfortable with the rain. Let's let her rest. I'll save a portion for her then. She can microwave it later, Isabel said. She glanced at the downpour outside and added with concern, the rain is really coming down today. Drive carefully. If you have to stay over there tonight, remember to call me ahead of time. I will, Leo replied, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. He reached over and ruffled the hair of a sleepy Maddie. Maddie, your big brother Leo will be back tonight to eat mooncakes with you. Okay, the little girl chirped with a smile. Around 10 o'clock, Leo drove away from Willow Creek Estates. Just as Isabel was starting to prep for lunch, Lily came downstairs in a set of casual clothes, holding an umbrella, a heavy weight on her mind. Isabel asked, Lily, what would you like for lunch? Isabel, I have plans with a few of my dorm mates today, so I won't be joining you, Lily said with a polite smile. She walked over to the couch and ruffled her sister's hair, who was engrossed in cartoons. Grace, while I'm out, you be good and listen to Isabel, okay? Okay, Grace replied obediently, her big, innocent eyes following her sister to the front door. Isabel untied her apron. "It's raining so hard. Let me give you a ride." "No, it's okay. It's not far. I already called an Uber. It's waiting at the gate," Lily said with a slight awkwardness. Without another word, she opened her umbrella and disappeared into the white curtain of rain. "Is everything all right?" Isabel thought. Lily's behavior seemed strange, but since Leo hadn't mentioned anything, she simply sent him a text. "Always here. Lily is acting a little off today. She just left with an umbrella." Leo was just stepping into the elevator at his parents' apartment building when he saw the message. He replied as the doors closed. "Offline mode. Did she say where she was going?" "Always here. She said she had plans with some dorm mates. I didn't press her. I just wanted to see if you knew anything about it." Leo really didn't, but figuring it wasn't a big deal, Lily didn't need to ask his permission for every little thing. He replied nonchalantly. "Offline mode. It's probably nothing. I'll call her in a bit and ask." He was almost at his parents' door. As was his habit, Leo meticulously deleted his chat history with his landlady before raising his hand to ring the bell. "You're here? Quick, change your shoes and come in. We have guests." Sharon opened the door, gave him a smiling once-over, and then turned back toward the living room. "Oh yeah? What guest could be more important than your son?" Leo scoffed dismissively. After changing his shoes, he walked into the living room and froze. "Dawn? Carla? What are you guys doing here?" Sitting on the couch were none other than Dawn and Carla Miller. The only person missing was Leo's lively, mischievous girlfriend. Just then, a pair of smooth, pale hands covered his eyes, and a familiar voice whispered in his ear. "Piggy, guess who?" Hearing that familiar voice and seeing her parents on the couch, Leo's mind raced. He instantly knew it was Chloe Miller, trying to surprise him for the holiday. Leo was overcome with relief that he hadn't agreed to Lily's request. If he had brought her here today to meet his parents, only to run into Chloe's, it was no exaggeration to say that his holiday would have ended in pieces. "Maya, is it you? What are you doing at my house?" Since he knew it was his girlfriend's prank, Leo decided to play along, raising his hands in mock surrender. "Don't joke like that. If Chloe sees you." "Ow. Okay, Chloe, I'm sorry. I was just kidding." Before he could finish, the hands covering his eyes shot down to his waist and employed that universal female tactic. The sharp pinch made Leo immediately surrender. "My dearest Chloe, are you trying to murder your husband on a holiday?" Leo rubbed his side, half exasperated, half amused. "It's your own fault for talking nonsense." Chloe was fuming. She'd planned this nice surprise, and this was the thanks she got. "Sharon, look at him." Still not satisfied, Chloe linked her arm with Sharon's and pouted. "He's always bullying me, and now he's doing it right in front of you." There, don't be angry. After dinner, I'll help you beat him up," Sharon said, smiling as she patted Chloe's hand comfortingly. Then she asked casually, "Who's Maya?" "She's a good friend of mine," Chloe explained, a hint of nervousness in her voice. After all, their bizarre three-way relationship couldn't see the light of day. If their parents found out, they'd all be in for it. "Dawn, look at Chloe." Leo mimicked his girlfriend's whining tone, pulling up his shirt to reveal the spot she had just twisted. "Look, it's all bruised. She's always bullying me. After dinner, you have to help me beat her up." "Haha, you kid her." Don Miller glanced at Leo's side and shook his head, amused. "I did not. I barely used any force." Chloe gasped, leaning in to look. Seeing no mark at all, she indignantly launched herself at Leo, and the two of them started roughhousing on the sofa. "Goodness, are you two a couple or mortal enemies?" Carla Miller watched their antics with a fond, chiding smile. "Leo, we were just saying how Chloe is becoming more and more like you. But now I see you're becoming more and more like her." "Hee, two peas in a pod. The fact that we're becoming more alike just means we're meant to be. Right, Chloe?" Leo grabbed Chloe's wrist, wrapped his arm around her waist, and pulled her down onto the sofa next to him. Chloe gave a haughty sniff, but didn't argue, letting her boyfriend hold her. "Would you look at that? He really did build his career from nothing as a writer. His silver tongue is much sharper than yours was back in the day," Carla said, praising Leo with a laugh. Don nodded proudly. "Of course. Look whose son-in-law he is." Seeing her parents watching them and unabashedly complimenting her boyfriend, Chloe lowered her head, both shy and proud, and began to fiddle with Leo's fingers. "Don't be fooled by how slick he is now. He used to be the quiet type who could barely string two words together," David Shepard said, bringing over a platter of washed fruit and joining the conversation. He gave Sharon a meaningful look. Sharon understood. She stood up and went into her bedroom. "His mother and I used to worry so much, afraid that his personality would put him at a disadvantage out in the world. That's just how men are. Being quiet at home is no big deal." I was pretty much the same as Leo back then. Don, a man with a hearty, straightforward personality, said dismissively, speaking up for his future son-in-law. After a few years of navigating the real world, I learned how to talk to anyone about anything. It's a holiday. Can we not talk about ghosts and ghouls? Carla slapped her slightly crude husband's arm playfully, and everyone chuckled. Chloe, you came so suddenly last time, and Leo didn't give me any warning, so I wasn't prepared for anything, Sharon said, emerging from the bedroom. She handed Chloe a large, thick envelope, beaming. This time, since you and your parents are here, I wanted to give this to you in front of them. It's a small token from David and me. We hope that you and our Leo will continue to have a wonderful future together. It was a custom everywhere that when a girl visited her boyfriend's family for the first time, the parents would give her a cash gift in an envelope. The last 2 times Chloe had visited, it had been too spontaneous for Sharon and David to prepare. But this time, Chloe had given Sharon a heads up a few days prior. And since her relationship with Leo was getting more serious, Sharon felt it was the right time. Chloe looked at the envelope with some hesitation. Her first instinct was to look to her parents for their opinion. But, as if by some strange force, her eyes first sought out Leo. She gave his arm a little tug, her meaning clear. This subtle glance was immediately caught by both sets of parents. Don and Carla exchanged a knowing look and sighed softly. They knew their daughter's anchor was no longer them. After she got married, she probably wouldn't come to them for advice anymore. But neither of them said a word. This small gesture proved that Chloe trusted Leo implicitly. Otherwise, she wouldn't have turned to him for guidance on such a trivial matter. Since their daughter had made her choice, how could they interfere? While Chloe's parents were observing their daughter, David was watching his son. He knew about Leo's two-timing. Now that Chloe had brought her parents over for the holiday, and this gift was another step toward marriage, he was desperate to know what was going through Leo's mind. Leo paused for a second, then gave a brisk nod. Take it. It's a gift from my mom. Well, thank you, Sharon, Chloe said, relieved, as she accepted the thick envelope. Leo saw his chance and egged her on. Quick, open it and see how much is in there. No way. Stop it. Chloe pushed his face away, clutching the envelope to her chest like a treasure. This is from your mom, for me. Ha ha ha. Everyone burst into laughter at Chloe's cute display, and she ducked her head, embarrassed. But looking down at the large envelope in her arms, a happy smile spread across her face. Taking this gift meant she and this jerk were one step closer. What about the other two? After a few minutes of chatting, Leo noticed Riley and Sophie were nowhere to be seen. He looked at Sharon curiously. Don and Carla are here. Why didn't you call them out to say hello? They have a classmate who's moving abroad today, Sharon explained. They left early this morning and said they might not be back all day. I see. Leo glanced at the downpour outside, a faint sense of unease settling in his chest. Piggy, have a mooncake. While Leo was distracted, Chloe opened a box of pastries, picked one up with her slender fingers, and held it to his lips. Leo took a bite and immediately grimaced. Ugh, is this fruitcake? I hate this kind of filling. Years ago, fruitcake was the cheap holiday option, much less expensive than things like chocolate or pumpkin pie. Back then, Leo's family wasn't well off, and Sharon would buy a ton of it every holiday season. 1 or 2 bites were fine, but any more and it was just cloying and dense. Eventually, Leo developed a strong aversion to it, and he'd spend ages picking through the dessert platter to find anything else. What's wrong with fruitcake? I think it's pretty good. You're too picky, Piggy, Chloe said, blinking. Without a hint of disgust, she popped the rest of the cake Leo hadn't finished into her own mouth and ate it in a few quick bites. So what kind of filling do you like? My parents bought a lot. I'll bring some over for you when we go back to the apartments. Anything but fruitcake is fine, Leo said, quickly taking a sip of tea to wash the strange taste from his mouth. This small, affectionate gesture between the young couple warmed the hearts of their parents, reminding them of their own dating days. Well, David, it's getting late. We won't impose any longer, Don said, noticing the rain was getting heavier. He pressed his hands on his knees to stand up. We have too many relatives to visit today. We'll come by again another time. Don's family was originally from Florida, and many of their relatives had settled in Portland. They valued family ties, and it was tradition to visit everyone during the holidays. Since one relative lived near Leo's parents, Don had decided to stop by and visit his wonderful son-in-law's family on this day of reunion. Don, the rain is so heavy. Why don't you stay for dinner? Sharon said, trying to be polite. I'll start cooking right now. It won't take long. No, really, Sharon. Our schedule is just too tight today. Carla declined with a smile. Next time, you and David bring Leo over to our place, and we'll treat you all to a proper meal. All right, then. Seeing they were determined to leave, Sharon patted Leo's arm. Leo, quickly, go see your aunt and uncle out. Leo was holding Chloe's hand, lost in their own little world. You're leaving? Why don't you stay for dinner? Do you want to go to your aunt's house? Or would you rather stay here and eat with Leo? Carla, seeing how inseparable the two were, left the decision to her daughter. Most of their friends and family knew Chloe was dating someone, so if anyone asked, she could just say she was spending the holiday at her boyfriend's house. Chloe hesitated, looking at her parents' all-knowing expressions, then at her grinning boyfriend. Ultimately, she reluctantly stood up. Worried Leo would be disappointed, she offered an explanation. Piggy, my aunt just got out of the hospital. She said she's been wanting to see me for a while, so I have to go visit her. Okay then, I'll walk you out, Leo said, not insisting. He stood to see his girlfriend's family off. Leo, it's a holiday. You should stay here with your parents, Dawn said, clapping him on the shoulder. But remember to come over in a few days. I've been saving a bottle of special reserve bourbon. When you come, we'll finish it. You got it, Leo replied in broken Cantonese, his clumsy pronunciation making everyone smile. All right, we're off. We'll visit again soon, Dawn said, picking up his phone and wallet from the coffee table. He looked at Leo expectantly. Leo, come visit us when you have time. Definitely, Leo promised readily. Bye, Piggy, Chloe said with a playful smile after putting on her shoes. Leo made a call me gesture with his hand. Chloe nodded with a grin. I'll call you tonight. Take care, you too, Sharon said, watching the family leave from the doorway. A contented smile appeared on her lightly wrinkled face. She had worked hard her whole life for this, hadn't she? For her 3 children to settle down and start their own families. She just never would have imagined that Leo, whose marriage prospects had once been her biggest worry, would be the first to walk down the aisle. Not only that, but his fiancée was sweet and lovely, her parents were reasonable people, and her husband already knew his son's father-in-law. When she thought about it, it was a perfect match, a marriage made in heaven. Now, Leo and Chloe's marriage was practically set in stone. All that was left, Sharon thought, was to wait for Chloe to graduate and marry Leo, and then she could happily stay at home and babysit for the young couple. Only after the elevator doors closed did Sharon shut the door, her face beaming with joy. Son, what do you want to eat today? She asked, looking cheerfully at Leo on the sofa. Whoa, what's gotten into you? Leo laughed in surprise. It's been a long time since I've heard you call me that so nicely. Ever since middle school, Sharon and David had mostly just called him by his name. It wasn't that they were unaffectionate. On the contrary, their bond was so deep that calling him son felt almost formal and strange. Many American families were like that. Parents and siblings often used first names. When Sharon was in a bad mood, however, that title would put Leo on high alert, making him wonder what he'd done wrong now. Feeling cocky, are we? Sharon shot him an exasperated look before humming a happy little tune and heading to the kitchen. What are you really thinking? David glanced at his busy wife in the kitchen, then turned to his tall, broad-shouldered son, his expression complex. If you're serious about Chloe, then you need to stop messing around with that other girl. Dad, keep your voice down. Mom will hear you, Leo said, anxiously glancing toward the kitchen. He cut the conversation short, his own feelings a tangled mess. Just give me a little more time. More time? Their parents will be sending me wedding invitations any day now. David grumbled worriedly. Son, why don't you just talk to that girl? Have a clean break. Hey, someone's at the door. Must be more relatives. I'll get it. Just as David was about to continue, the doorbell rang. Leo jumped up and hurried to the door, eager to escape his father's lecture. Persuade her to leave? I could never persuade any of them to leave, Leo muttered to himself, his heart heavy with determination as he opened the door. The moment he did, the expression on his face froze like a photograph. His dark eyes, usually so clear, constricted into tiny points. Before him was a face that was both incredibly familiar and utterly foreign. Familiar because he saw that beautiful, sweet face nearly every morning when he woke up. Foreign because that face had never once appeared at his parents' home. Standing in the doorway wasn't a neighbor, and it certainly wasn't Chloe returning. It was the girl he had just left at the Willow Creek Estates villa that morning, Lily Reed. She held 2 umbrellas, one black and one pink, and stood there anxiously. Her normally bright eyes were now filled with a cautious, probing light. Her soft black hair was dotted with raindrops, making her look both bedraggled and delicate under the bright hallway lights, stirring a painful sense of pity. Looking at the heart-wrenching girl before him, Leo was completely dumbfounded. His breath caught in his throat. He had no idea how Lily, who was supposed to be sleeping at home this morning, had suddenly materialized at his parents' doorstep. He had given her a heads up just a few days ago, hadn't he? He'd promised to take her to meet David after the holiday. Lily had agreed to it then, so why would she suddenly show up at his parents' place now? And how did she even find out their exact address? He'd never told her. If it were just David at home, Leo would have boldly invited her in. But Sharon was still busy in the kitchen. The sound of a spatula scraping against a hot pan was clearly audible. If he brought Lily inside, how was he supposed to introduce her to his mother? A colleague? A classmate? An employee? A secretary? Any of those titles could probably pass muster. But would Lily be willing to go along with it? Would this girl, who loved him with all her heart, cooperate in such a charade? Leo had told Lily before that he'd already spoken to his parents about her. He'd painted a beautiful picture for her, telling her that his parents were eager to meet her. If he introduced her with some other identity, how could Lily not start having second thoughts? But what if he told the truth? What would Sharon think? She had just happily seen Chloe and her family off. Leo was certain that if his mother found out he was playing two girls at once at this critical juncture, this would be a holiday he would never forget. Right now, the brightly lit hallway was terrifyingly silent. The two people who had slept in each other's arms just last night now stared at each other, speechless. Rainwater dripped from the tip of the pink umbrella in Lily's hand, hitting the floor with grating plink, plink, plink. What do I do? What do I do? Leo's normally quick-thinking mind was a complete muddle. He had no idea what to say to her. Coax her to leave, or risk death and bring her inside. What are you doing here? Leo felt that if he didn't say something soon, Lily would definitely start overthinking things. He forced a smile. How did you know where my parents live? A high school classmate of yours told me, Lily said, her voice barely a whisper. Her eyes darted curiously toward the inside of the apartment. A high school classmate? Zach. Leo was incredulous. Zach knew his situation. He would never stab him in the back like this. Ashley Williams. Lily confessed honestly. Ashley Williams? Leo had never even heard that name before. Then it hit him. Someone had deliberately led Lily here. In an instant, he identified the culprits, his two sisters. No one else would be bored enough to pull such a malicious stunt. No wonder those two weren't home for the holiday meal and had left so early. They must have anticipated the chaos Lily's arrival would cause. Thank God Chloe's family had left a few minutes earlier. If Lily had barged in while both families were there, this holiday would have ended in pieces, and he meant that literally. She said you were having some classmates over today. It's raining so hard, I thought I'd bring you an umbrella, Lily said, her guilt obvious. She held the black umbrella out to Leo, her movements tense and stiff. Lily had never lied before, especially not to Leo. After saying her piece, she lowered her head, looking as helpless as a little girl who had done something wrong. Leo knew she was lying. That Ashley Williams person must have added some serious embellishments. Otherwise, the normally guileless Lily wouldn't have used such a flimsy excuse to come and see for herself what was going on. Leo took the dry black umbrella, feeling a wave of helplessness. Only someone like Lily would unconditionally believe such a stranger's lies. Leo, who is it? David, seeing his son standing at the door for so long, got up and walked over to see. In an instant, David's expression froze, just as Leo's had. Although he'd only seen her once, David knew. This was the girl who had been feeding his son cookies in the car. Why was she here? What was her purpose? Was she here to stake her claim? To demand a title? David's mind raced. He subconsciously glanced at Lily's stomach, relieved to see nothing out of the ordinary. Young lady, you're here too. David, a man who could chat effortlessly with any kind of business owner, for the first time found himself at a loss for words in front of a young woman, stammering. Hello, sir, Lily said, unaware of the turmoil she had caused. She assumed this must be Leo's father and introduced herself, both nervous and excited. Hi, I'm Leo's girlfriend. My name is Lily Reed. I'm from Idaho. I have a younger sister and a grandmother. I'm a freshman in college, going into my sophomore year after the summer. Meeting her boyfriend's parent for the first time, Lily was a nervous wreck. She blurted out everything she could think of, sounding like she was reporting for a background check. Father and son listened to her blunt self-introduction, momentarily unsure how to respond. Dinner's ready. Just then, Sharon took off her apron and placed several dishes on the dining table. Seeing the two men standing woodenly at the door, she walked over curiously. What are you two doing? Oh, whose daughter is this? She's so pretty. Sharon took a closer look. The girl at the door was truly beautiful. Her fair skin was as radiant as a peach blossom. Beneath a straight, delicate nose, her pale pink lips were pressed tightly together. She clutched two umbrellas, her soft black hair damply clinging to her shoulders. Her expression was a mixture of anxiety and apprehension, a heart-wrenching look that tugged at your heartstrings just by seeing it. It was no exaggeration to say that this girl's beauty was on par with Chloe's. And in terms of figure, she was in a league of her own. Who is this girl? Sharon looked from her son to her husband. David was sweating, completely at a loss as to how to explain Lily's presence to his wife. Leo was even more terrified, his heart pounding in his chest. He stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence, wishing he could just grab Lily and run. Meeting Leo's parents for the first time, Lily was equally petrified, never one for words. Her mind was now a complete blank. Her lips parted and closed, but no sound came out. What on earth is going on? Sharon glanced at the two men, puzzled, then turned a warm smile to the nervous girl. Young lady, who are you looking for? What's your name? Lily's hands were sweating so much she could barely hold the umbrella handle. She practically had to force the words out of her throat. Ma'am, my name is Lily Reed. Oh, what a lovely name. So elegant, Sharon said, assuming she was one of Leo's classmates or colleagues. She prepared to politely invite her in for dinner. But Lily's next words nearly sent Sharon stumbling backward. I'm Leo's girlfriend. What? Sharon's gentle voice instantly became sharp and incredulous. You're my son's girlfriend? MHM. Lily nodded her head twice, firmly. No, this. Sharon looked in disbelief at the anxious Lily, then whipped her head around to stare at Leo, who was grimacing in terror. In that single moment, Sharon understood everything. Her honest, dependable son was cheating on Chloe. Mom, I told you about this before, remember? Lily has wanted to meet you for a long time, Leo said, seeing no way out. He decided to throw a Hail Mary, wrapping his arm tightly around Lily's slightly damp shoulders and forcing a nervous smile. I was planning to bring her over for the holiday to meet you both, but you said you were going to visit relatives, so I just told her to come find me here. I didn't expect you to run into each other like this. Now, you listen here, you. Sharon's brow furrowed, and she was about to explode when David quickly cut in with a laugh. Well, no time like the present. Come on in, dear, let's talk inside. It's cold out here. Sharon shot her husband a strange look, immediately guessing that he must have known about Leo's affair all along. Otherwise, he wouldn't have looked just as shocked as Leo when Lily arrived. Seeing that Lily was soaked, Sharon's heart softened. With a complicated expression, she found a clean pair of slippers for her from the shoe cabinet. Thank you, ma'am, Lily said, taking the slippers as if she'd been granted a great honor. She bent down nervously, her movement stiff as she untied her sneakers. Sharon stood with her arms crossed, studying Lily with a serious expression, trying to figure out how to deal with her son's mistress. She suddenly noticed that as Lily changed her shoes, she was still holding the wet pink umbrella. Sharon paused, then realized the girl was afraid of getting the floor wet, which was why she was holding it, making the simple act of changing shoes look clumsy and awkward. Give it to me, Leo said, quickly taking the umbrellas from Lily's hand. He walked to the balcony and opened them up to let the water drain off. With her hands free, Lily finally managed to change her shoes. She stood anxiously by the door like a servant waiting for orders, waiting for her boyfriend to lead her inside. Lily wanted to greet Sharon, but the moment she looked up, she met Sharon's stern gaze and immediately lowered her head, subconsciously looking down at her own clothes. Calm down, calm down. Get the facts first, Sharon told herself. Realizing she had scared the girl, she forced a smile. Come in, child. Don't be nervous. There are just a few things I'd like to ask you. Okay. Lily nodded obediently and followed Sharon to the sofa. Worried about getting the furniture dirty, Lily perched on the edge, supporting herself with her hands to keep her body off the clean slipcover as much as possible. Sharon noticed this detail. What a humble girl, she thought. Did she run away from some backwoods town? It's okay. We're washing the slipcovers tomorrow anyway. Sit properly. It's fine, Sharon said with a wave of her hand. Then, her tone turned icy as she looked toward the balcony. Leo, get over here. Coming, Leo said, his heart pounding. He rubbed his nose nervously and sat down next to Lily, as prim and proper as a Boy Scout. Normally, when Leo brought a girlfriend home, he would be the one doing all the smooth talking. But now he was even more nervous than Lily, terrified that Sharon would tell Lily about Chloe. Outside, the rain poured down in sheets, as if the whole world was drowning. The drops beat violently against the windows, a sharp, relentless sound that grated on the nerves. Inside, the living room was eerily quiet, a stark contrast to the cheerful laughter that had filled it when Chloe's family was there. Everyone was silent, their faces grim, as if a heavy weight was pressing down on them. The lights were bright, but the room felt oppressive, like a courtroom. It's a holiday. Let's not scare the girl. Why don't we eat first? David whispered to Sharon, gently suggesting she not be so aggressive. Lily, is it? Sharon asked, trying to keep her voice steady and smiling. You said just now that you're my son's girlfriend? When did you two meet? Last year, in the early spring, ma'am, Lily answered truthfully. Leo and I were living in the same apartment complex back then. Early spring last year? David was stunned. That was around the same time he met Chloe. Good Lord, his son had been two-timing for nearly a year and a half. I see. Sharon was equally incredulous. It took her a moment to force a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You've known each other for that long? And you, Leo, why didn't you bring her home for us to meet sooner? What followed was a classic interrogation. Sharon conducted a full investigation into the girl her son was keeping on the side. Initially, Sharon had assumed this girl was after money, willingly becoming Leo's mistress, and that her appearance today was a move to secure a title. But after a series of questions, she discovered something else entirely. Lily had absolutely no idea that Leo had another girlfriend. She had always believed she was his one and only. What surprised Sharon even more was how incredibly honest Lily was. Whatever she was asked, she answered softly and truthfully, without a hint of deception. Because of this, Sharon completely suppressed the urge to tell Lily about Chloe. None of this was this girl's fault. It was all because of her cheating son. Whether it was the bubbly and cute Chloe or the gentle and meek Lily standing before her now, neither girl had done anything wrong. Sharon couldn't help but feel a pang of pity for this girl who had been so thoroughly deceived by Leo. She probably still thought she was the only one. If she knew that Leo's official girlfriend and her family had been laughing and chatting in this very room just moments ago, this humble girl would surely hide somewhere and cry her eyes out. At that thought, a nameless anger flared up inside Sharon. She shot a cold, hard look at Leo. Ma'am, Lily said, clutching her stomach, which was starting to feel upset from the cold. She asked cautiously, May I please use the restroom? My stomach isn't feeling very well. Yes, of course, it's right over there, Sharon said quickly, pointing the way. She thought to herself, this girl is just too proper. She even has to ask for permission to use the bathroom. Thank you, Lily said with a grateful nod and walked toward the restroom. The moment Lily disappeared inside, Sharon's expression turned frigid. Well done, Leo. You've learned how to keep a secret mistress, haven't you? Mom, actually, Leo started to argue, but he couldn't find the words. He could only glance awkwardly at David, seeking backup. Speak. You're usually so talkative. What? Nothing to say now. Sharon grew angrier with every word. Look at you. You used to be such an obedient kid, and now you've learned how to cheat on a good girl, and you go and pick someone so honest and sweet to mess with. Do you just have too much money and nowhere to spend it? Sharon declared, waving her hand dismissively. Starting tomorrow, you're handing over your entire salary to me. What are you thinking? Let's stick to the issue at hand. Don't be ridiculous. David, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. If you make him give you all his money, what happens to his company's cash flow? You think he works at a factory? Sharon paused, realizing he had a point. For a moment, she didn't know what to do with Leo, so she just glared resentfully at her overly successful son. It wasn't just Leo's cheating that angered her. It was that the girl he was messing with was so incredibly honest and innocent. If Leo had picked the kind of girl who could be bought off with money, Sharon would have, at most, grumbled about her son becoming corrupted by wealth. She would have given him a stern talking to and told him to break it off. But Lily's character was just too genuine. So genuine that Sharon couldn't bring herself to tell her the truth. The thought of this girl's crestfallen face made her heart ache. So, Sharon's eyes blazed as she demanded, Answer me this. Have you been mistreating that girl? No. I swear, Mom. I treat her like she's made of glass. Leo said, his voice ringing with sincerity. I couldn't dote on her enough. Why would I ever mistreat her? Sharon gave him a sideways glance, but believed him. If Leo had really been using his money to treat Lily like some on-call mistress, the girl wouldn't be so devoted to him. But what now? Should she tell Lily the truth, or come clean with Chloe's family? Logically and emotionally, Sharon leaned toward Chloe. Chloe's parents had already bought them a house. The plan was for them to get married after she graduated. It was an understanding between both families. If she revealed her son's cheating at this stage, Sharon couldn't even imagine what her in-laws would think of her and David as parents. And yet, Sharon couldn't bear to hurt Lily. Such an honest, simple girl. If Leo were to just cast her aside, she would be utterly heartbroken. Oh, you boy, you're going to be the death of me. Torn between two impossible choices, Sharon's eyes turned red with frustration. She started to get up several times to discipline Leo, but David held her back each time. "Keep your voice down. The girl will hear you." Sharon glanced nervously toward the bathroom and lowered her voice, her eyes fixed on Leo. "Tell me, what are you planning to do?" In truth, Sharon wouldn't be happy with whatever Leo chose. She just wanted to know how he saw the situation. "Mom, just give me some time. I'll handle it." Leo repeated the same words he had said to his father. He had no intention of giving anyone up, but to achieve that ultimate goal, time was the most crucial factor. Moreover, now that his family knew everything about Lily, he felt a strange sense of relief, like there was nothing left to lose. Mainly, Leo sensed that Sharon seemed to be quite fond of Lily. That meant he wouldn't have to worry about his mom spilling the beans to Chloe so easily. Just as Sharon was about to say something else, she heard the toilet flush. She quickly composed herself, afraid the girl would come out and notice something was wrong. "I need to use the bathroom," Leo said. He waited at the bathroom door for a minute or two before Lily slowly opened it. "What took you so long? Go talk to my parents. I need to go." Just as Leo was about to step inside, Lily grabbed his arm, her face beet red. "Can you wait a little bit? It's smelly." Leo, thinking it was something more serious, waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, please. I'm used to it. As long as it's not a strawberry tart, I'm good. Go on, go chat with my parents." With that, he ducked into the bathroom, leaving a mortified Lily standing alone in the hallway. "Lily, don't mind him. Come sit," Sharon said with a warm smile, beckoning her over. Lily nodded obediently and walked to the living room, shyly taking her previous seat. Since it had already happened, Sharon's mindset had begun to shift. She sat down right next to Lily, tilted her head, and began to study her son's second girlfriend with genuine delight. The more she looked, the more pleased she was. She couldn't help but click her tongue in approval. "That boy might be a scoundrel," she thought, "but he sure has a good eye." Having grown up in a rural area, Sharon was a woman of both traditional and somewhat superstitious beliefs. Putting aside social norms for a moment, if she truly had to choose between Chloe and Lily, she would undoubtedly pick the honest and gentle Lily. It was no exaggeration to say that there wasn't a mother-in-law in the world who wouldn't adore a daughter-in-law as meek and sweet as this. She was obedient and sincere. After getting married, she would never argue with her son or her mother-in-law. No matter what happened, she would be the type of tolerant woman who wholeheartedly supported her husband and her family. Most importantly, Lily was stunningly beautiful and had a fantastic figure. With those hips, that curvy body, who knew how many grandchildren she could give her to dote on? Of course, this wasn't to say Chloe was a bad choice. She was a wonderful girl as well. Before Lily appeared, Sharon had been fully supportive of her marriage to her son. But now that Lily had entered the picture, Sharon not only didn't reject her, but she found herself leaning toward the gentle-natured Lily. If she had to put it into words, Chloe's lively, cute, and slightly willful personality was better suited for dating. For the long haul of marriage, it might lead to friction. Lily's tolerant nature, on the other hand, was undoubtedly perfect for married life. Lily had also mentioned her family situation earlier. A younger sister still in elementary school, a frail grandmother, and she herself still in college. In the past, Sharon would have never agreed to such a situation. She would have immediately rejected Lily, told her about Chloe, and advised her to give up on Leo. It would have been cruel, but it was the reality. No matter how beautiful Lily was, and no matter how much Sharon liked her personality, she couldn't risk her own family's stability to take care of Lily's. Lily's family situation was a bottomless pit, requiring financial support at every turn. One misstep could lead to tragedy for both families. Fortunately, Leo was wealthy now. His production company was thriving. It was no exaggeration to say that he could support 10 girls like Lily without breaking a sweat. It was this consideration that stopped Sharon from cruelly telling Lily about Chloe. Of course, Sharon knew she didn't have a right to choose. It all depended on what Leo was thinking. At that thought, another wave of worry washed over her. How on earth does that boy plan to handle these 2 girls? "Lily, you live with my son now, right?" David, seeing his wife's growing affection for Lily, sighed softly and asked a key question. "Are you still in that old apartment complex?" "We live at Willow Creek Estates, sir." Willow Creek Estates. Sharon gasped in disbelief. As Portland locals, they knew the value of that name. It was the most expensive real estate in the entire state, bar none. Prices had skyrocketed to astronomical levels, with the cheapest villa likely costing tens of millions. The people who lived there were all powerful and influential figures. It was a luxury enclave that money alone couldn't always buy. That boy really spares no expense when it comes to wooing girls. The house Leo had bought for Chloe was at Timeless Impressions. While the prices there were high, they were nothing compared to Willow Creek Estates. Sharon had assumed Leo had bought a similar high-end condo to house his secret mistress. She never imagined he would go straight for the most exclusive property in the city. He was certainly willing to spend. David confirmed again, so it's just you, your sister, and Leo living together now. Lily paused, her head dipping almost imperceptibly as she gave a soft affirmation. Sharon, who saw Lily as a simple and honest girl, didn't notice anything amiss. But David caught the slight shift in Lily's demeanor. He knew she was lying, but he couldn't figure out why she would lie about something like that. Lily, you were just so beautiful. Like a little doll that stepped out of a painting, Sharon said, reaching out to brush a stray strand of hair from Lily's forehead, revealing her lovely, flower-like face. She praised her with genuine delight. My brat of a son must have had 8 lifetimes of good luck to meet a wonderful girl like you. No, not at all, ma'am. Leo is wonderful, too, Lily said, shrinking back shyly, her face visibly flushing. Seeing her bashful reaction, Sharon's affection for the transparent country girl only grew. Oh my, why are your hands so cold? Sharon touched Lily's pale wrist and immediately clucked with concern. Quick, go take a hot shower. After you're done, come out and eat. I'll get you some clean clothes to change into. Lily didn't want to be a bother and quickly shook her head. Ma'am, please don't trouble yourself. I'm not cold. Not cold? Your hands are like ice. Now listen to me, go take a shower. I'll get you some clothes. David, you go heat up the food, Sharon said, looking chidingly at the sweet, humble girl. Then she shouted toward the bathroom. Leo, did you fall in? Get out here. Lily needs to take a shower. Outside, the torrential rain fell like a waterfall, beating fiercely against the windows and roof. Inside, however, a warm atmosphere prevailed, a stark contrast to the storm raging without. In the ordinary 3-bedroom apartment, Leo and David sat on the living room sofa, discussing something with serious expressions. In the kitchen, Sharon was reheating the food she had prepared earlier. As she listened to the sound of the shower and thought of the sweet girl, a mysterious smile would occasionally cross the face of the woman who had worked hard her entire life. But then, thinking of the other, more vivacious girl, she would sigh for no reason. As long as they're not married, I could just pay them back for the house, right? Maybe we should just go with Lily. No. Sharon, are you crazy? It's bad enough the boy is messing around, but you're going to encourage it? You do that, and you'll be asking for divine retribution. Forget it. I'll just see what the boy plans to do. I'll just pretend I didn't see anything. From now on, during the holidays, whichever girl shows up, I'll treat her like a daughter-in-law. Hearing Sharon's internal battle from the kitchen, the heavy stone in Leo's heart finally lifted. Although Lily's arrival had been a shock, it was a relief that Sharon liked her so much. Otherwise, she never would have even considered officially choosing Lily. This messy, tangled situation was exactly what Leo needed. The best-case scenario was for Sharon to be unable to choose between the two girls, to turn a blind eye, giving him enough time to handle things his own way. Lily, you're from Idaho, right? I hear it's beautiful there. You should take me to see it sometime. Here, Lily, have some sea bass. I just bought it fresh this morning and steamed it. It's the holidays. You should take some moon cakes back with you later. Oh, don't be so polite. I bought too many anyway. Take them back and share them with Leo. And next time you come, remember to bring your sister so I can meet her. Sharon was clearly delighted with the shy girl, constantly putting food on her plate and making warm, casual conversation. David watched his wife's beaming face, noticing that she seemed even happier than when Chloe had been there. Throughout the meal, Leo remained silent, just keeping his head down and eating, occasionally putting some food on Lily's plate. He knew that if he opened his mouth now, Sharon would likely shoot him down. She was clearly fond of Lily, but that didn't mean she was letting him off the hook for two-timing. The moment Lily left, Sharon would probably start her cross-examination. The less said, the better. For now, letting his mother and his little country flower chat peacefully while he listened quietly was the best way to maintain harmony. After dinner, they chatted for a few more minutes before Sharon started clearing the table. Let me help you, ma'am, Lily said, expertly rolling up her sleeves to help with the dishes. Sharon quickly stopped her. No, you just sit on the sofa and watch a movie with Leo. I can handle this myself. Be a good girl and listen. It's okay. I'm used to doing them at home. The usually meek Lily showed a surprising stubborn streak. She skillfully picked up the stacked plates and walked to the kitchen, turning on the faucet and starting to wash. Lily's world was small, and her skills were few. Even normal conversation could sometimes trip her up. In front of her beloved boyfriend's parents, the simple girl could only express herself through these basic acts of service, hoping to win their favor. Mom, it's so rare to find a girl like this these days, Sharon sighed, looking at Lily's slender, upright back. She turned to Leo, her expression a complex mix of emotions, as if blaming him for bringing home such a wonderful girl who he couldn't give a proper title to. If only he had met Lily first. Hello, Director Chun? Happy holidays. Yes, I'm at home, Leo said, pretending to answer his phone as he felt his mother's intense gaze. He slipped out onto the balcony. That brat, Sharon muttered resentfully. Then, as if struck by an idea, she marched determinedly into her bedroom. When Lily finished the dishes and returned to the living room, Sharon emerged from her room, holding another large, thick envelope. After giving one to Chloe, she still had a few envelopes left. Since Lily had come all this way, she couldn't neglect her. She had to follow tradition. The meaning behind a boy's parents giving a girl a cash gift on her first visit varied from place to place. In some areas, it was for good luck. In others, it was a simple sign of acceptance and approval of the relationship. But in most cases, it was an acknowledgement that the parents assumed their son and the girl were already physically intimate. While that wasn't the custom in Portland, Sharon didn't believe for a second that her rascally son had been a perfect gentleman with a girl this beautiful, with such a good figure and sweet personality. They had probably tumbled from one end of the bed to the other long ago. So this gift encompassed all those meanings. David glanced at the thickness of the envelope. It seemed quite a bit thicker than the one they had given Chloe. Lily, this is for you, Sharon said, handing the envelope to her with a smile. It's just a little something from us. We hope that you and our Leo will continue to have a wonderful future together. Thank you, ma'am. Lily was stunned for a moment, then accepted the envelope with both hands, her voice filled with excitement. She even gave Sharon a deep, grateful bow. Oh, no need for that. No need for that, Sharon said, touched, helping Lily up with a smile that was both gratified and helpless. This girl was wonderful in every way, just a little too honest and unassuming. Lily looked down at the bright red envelope in her hands, her beautiful, sweet face radiating a hopeful, joyous smile. It wasn't about the money inside. It was about what it represented. On her very first visit to Leo's home, his parents had given her this. It meant they truly approved of her as their son's girlfriend. Here, Leo, she said, her excitement bubbling over. She held the thick envelope out to him with both hands, taking it to the balcony where he stood. This unhesitating gesture left both of his parents stunned. What fairy tale had this girl escaped from? She was just too good to be true. No, I don't need it. Feeling Sharon's cold glare, Leo knew that if he dared to accept that envelope, he wouldn't be leaving this house in one piece. He quickly refused, his voice laced with panic. That's from my mom for you. Why would you give it to me? You just keep it. Lily looked troubled. But I don't need money. I still haven't spent what you gave me last year. Just take it. Why are you being so stubborn? Leo insisted, waving his hand dismissively. Is that any way to talk to her? The moment Sharon saw Leo being sharp with Lily, her suppressed temper flared. She grabbed a coat hanger and pointed it at him. You think you're a big shot now, that I can't do anything to you? Leo yelped and quickly ducked behind Lily. Mom, it's a holiday. Don't get violent. What will the neighbors think? Whether he was facing his employees or a bunch of thugs, Leo had never backed down. But in front of Sharon, he always maintained a healthy sense of fear, a habit ingrained since childhood. It's okay, ma'am, Lily said, glancing at the timid Leo behind her. It was both surprising and amusing, but she still stepped in front of him, shielding him from the formidable Sharon. Lily, let's exchange numbers, Sharon said, tossing the hanger onto the sofa. From now on, if this boy dares to bully you, you tell me, and I promise I'll take care of him for you. We'll see whose side she's on, Leo muttered, unconvinced that his soft-hearted little country flower would ever rat him out to his mom. Okay, thank you, ma'am, Lily said with a bright smile, taking out her phone to add Sharon as a contact. Leo, after the rain, the sky looked as if it had been washed clean. It was already around 4 in the afternoon. Sunlight streamed down through the thinning clouds and mist, casting a brilliant golden glow over everything, draping the world in a shimmering veil. Leo had intended to leave after dinner, but Sharon insisted on keeping Lily there to chat. Lily didn't seem to want to leave either. Her introverted and slightly reserved nature actually meshed well with Sharon's warm, effusive personality. Besides, this was her boyfriend's mother. Leaving felt unthinkable. The girl who normally struggled to string 2 sentences together was unusually talkative today, happily chatting with Sharon about Leo. Seeing the two of them getting along so well, Leo resigned himself to sitting on the sofa, scrolling through TikTok and occasionally checking his workgroup chats. Oh, Mom, can you please buy less fruitcake next holiday? Leo was craving a snack, but the platter was almost entirely filled with the stuff. After a long search, he finally found a single slice of pumpkin pie. It's not like your son hasn't given you money. Can't you buy some other flavors? Eat it if you want, leave it if you don't, Sharon said, shooting him a look. I haven't even started grilling you about your timing, and you have a nerve to be picky? Lily glanced at the messy platter, subconsciously making a mental note of Leo's preference. As he was nibbling on his pie, a chilling thought occurred to Leo. When Lily came up earlier, did she run into Chloe? Chloe had left no more than 2 or 3 minutes before Lily arrived. It was no exaggeration to say that if Chloe's family had left just a few minutes later, the disaster zone would have erupted right then and there. Leo couldn't even imagine how ugly that scene would have been. What's more, Chloe knew who Lily was. She had sent him the video from that bullying incident. If she had seen Lily in the elevator, with her jealous and overthinking nature, she would have undoubtedly accused Leo of something. The main problem was that Leo's story wouldn't hold up under Chloe's scrutiny. If she went directly to Lily and asked, it would still be a dead end for him. In the current situation, asking directly would certainly annoy Sharon and might even make Lily suspicious. So Leo tried a diversionary tactic. Lily, since you're here, why don't you come see my room? Go on, get out of here. What's so great about your pigsty? Sharon waved her hand dismissively. Don't interrupt my conversation with Lily. She's my girlfriend, not yours. If you want one, go find your own. Come on, let's go, Leo said, taking Lily's hand and pulling her to her feet. He nudged her toward his bedroom. Lily had little agency when it came to Leo, so she allowed herself to be half pushed into his room. That boy, he's really pushing his luck. Sharon fumed, but for the moment, there was nothing she could do. It seemed Leo was banking on the fact that she wouldn't dare tell Lily about Chloe, which was why he was being so brazen. And he was right. Sharon genuinely liked this simple, earnest girl and truly couldn't bring herself to tell her about Chloe, fearing the gentle little thing wouldn't be able to handle the truth about her boyfriend's cheating. That philanderer, Sharon cursed under her breath, helpless. After decades of life, she couldn't believe she was using such a term to describe her own son. Well, Lily Reed, you dare to suspect me now, do you? Inside Leo's room, away from his mother's presence, his confidence surged back. He cornered Lily against the door, one hand braced next to her head, pinning a few strands of her soft black hair. It's a good thing I'm a man of integrity, he said shamelessly. Otherwise, you would have caught me red-handed. Leo knew the only reason she had come was because she suspected him of cheating. The umbrella excuse was beyond flimsy. Caught. Lily pouted guiltily and turned her head to the side, staying stubbornly silent. You had plenty to say to my mom just now, Leo said, leaning in closer and gently pinching her soft, pale cheek. Why so quiet now? Lily's lips trembled, and a hint of grievance crept in her voice as she mumbled, I'll tell your mom you're bullying me. Oh yeah? You're threatening me now? Her pouting threat only intrigued Leo more. He scooped her up by her full thighs, slung her over his shoulder, and tossed her onto a small bed. Lily's figure was so dramatic that when she landed, the magnificent scenery of her chest bounced for several long moments. The sight made Leo's heart race, and he felt a sudden urge to get to the bottom of things, so to speak. To make matters worse, she was wearing one of Riley's loose-fitting shirts. As Leo straddled her waist, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was on top of his own sister, a strange and forbidden thrill coursing through him. He couldn't resist. He leaned down and stole a kiss, then gave her a mischievous squeeze, taunting her. There, I'm bullying you right now. Go on, call my mom in here. You're so awful. You only know how to bully me, Lily said, her face bright red. She covered her chest with one hand, looking like a wronged little wife as she stared up at the bad boyfriend on top of her. That's just because I like you. Leo's heart instantly softened at her pitiful, wronged expression. If I didn't like you, you could be standing naked in front of me, and I wouldn't be interested. Jerk. It was the first time Lily had ever heard such a crude term of endearment. She cursed him shyly and turned her head away, but the profile of her flower-like face was blooming with a happy smile. She had come here anxiously, expecting to catch him in the act. But not only had she cleared up the misunderstanding, she had also accidentally met his parents. More importantly, his parents were very pleased with her and had even given her that symbolic gift. Everything that had happened today had left the simple girl deeply satisfied, as bright and brilliant as the sun that had broken through after the storm. Leo, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you, Lily said, stroking his cheek, her eyes full of affection. But I really, really like you, and I like your parents, too. Please don't lie to me in the future, okay? So what, in your mind, counts as me lying to you? Leo asked, gently brushing her messy hair away to reveal her beautiful face, a playful curiosity in his eyes. Sometimes a couple needs a little fun, you know? Like planning a surprise for you. That's technically a lie. It's just don't be with other girls, Lily mumbled, her voice full of hurt. She thought this way because Leo had a history. If she hadn't found that pair of black stockings, she might still be in the dark about the landlady. Lily, I'm a director. I meet with dozens of actresses for auditions every day, Leo said, getting off her and sitting cross-legged on the bed with a helpless smile. How am I supposed to meet a demand like that? Men and women are built differently. Lily also sat up, but in a W-sit, her weight resting on her own thighs rather than the bedsheets. Hearing his words, her face fell, and she looked away unhappily. Fine, I promise, Leo said, taking her soft hand and changing his approach. I only like my girlfriend. Any girl who isn't my girlfriend, no matter how beautiful she is, I will have absolutely no interest in her. They all admit they're my girlfriends. So even if Lily finds out later, it won't technically be breaking my promise, right? Leo thought, deceiving himself. Hearing his new promise, a satisfied smile returned to Lily's face, and she wrapped her slender fingers around his large hand. Leo raised an eyebrow. Look at you, you silly thing. Are you happy now? I'm not silly. Lily huffed softly, then gently collapsed into his arms. Leo held her slightly fleshy body and asked tentatively, this apartment building has a lot of little kids who like to randomly press all the elevator buttons. Did you run into anyone on your way up? Lily shook her head gently. No, I was the only one in the elevator. Good. With just one casual question, he had confirmed his worst fear was unfounded. The weight on Leo's chest finally lifted. With no immediate worries, Leo's mood brightened considerably. Looking at Lily, he felt she was even more beautiful than before. At the same time, a strange feeling washed over him. His sweet, simple country flower was actually here, in his house, in his arms, on his childhood bed. It felt both wonderful and slightly surreal, the same way it had when Chloe had first come to his home. Knock, knock, knock. Sharon's voice came from outside the door. Leo, your father and I are driving over to the Sterlings for dinner. Do you and Lily want to come with us? No, we're good. Don't interrupt our quality time. With a beauty in his arms, Leo decisively refused. He heard Sharon curse him for being a brat, followed by the shuffling sound of shoes and the click of the front door closing. In an instant, the room felt profoundly quiet. His parents were gone. Lily was on his bed. Leo's courage swelled. He asked expectantly, Lily, my parents are out. What do you say? Lily's heart skipped a beat. She knew what he was asking, but she didn't know how to answer. She just stayed silent, burying her face deeper into his chest. You holding me like this is a little uncomfortable, Leo said, shifting with a frown. He put his hands under her bottom and lifted her up. Startled, Lily reflexively wrapped her arms around his neck and her legs around his thick waist. Leo's girlfriends all had different personalities and different styles in bed. He'd been with Lily long enough to know all her habits and preferences by heart. This embrace was her favorite. Every time he held her like this, she became especially proactive. But this was his parents' house, and the simple girl couldn't quite let go. Her face turned red as she lowered her head and mumbled, please don't move around. No, Leo refused flatly. He leaned back against the wall, then brought his knees up, shifting her entire weight onto him so she couldn't easily escape. Can we talk about this when we get back home? Lily pleaded, feeling the change in him. She pressed her hands lightly against his chest and tilted her head back, her voice full of grievance. Then give me a kiss. Leo stretched his neck toward her, watching her squirm. It occurred to him that this was the first time he'd ever asked her to kiss him first. Usually, he was the one who played the rogue. Lily hesitated. Okay, but close your eyes. Fine. The moment Leo closed his eyes, Lily pressed against his chest and gave his cheek a light peck. Okay, I did it, she whispered, her face burning. Are you kidding me? Leo felt the lingering warmth on his cheek and couldn't help but laugh in exasperation. Lily, are you 3 years old? Look at us. What haven't we done? And you're still kissing my cheek? Kiss me on the lips. Seeing her hesitation, Leo bounced her a little with his thigh. Come on, stop dawdling. We've done everything. What's there to be embarrassed about? You're just the worst, Lily said, looking at him with a mix of grievance and shyness. Her cheeks turned a fiery red, hot and captivating. Finally, under his urging, Lily summoned her courage and leaned in, her soft lips gently pressing against his. But that's as far as it went. Leo wanted more. He greedily devoured her cherry lips, then gently released them. His hands began to wander, stroking her smooth, pale stomach and moving upward until his fingertips met a vast expanse of softness. Leo, you're awful. Lily's eyes grew hazy. She bit her lip, her voice cracking as she complained. But just like every other time, while her words protested, her body offered no resistance. She remained in his lap, his for the taking. Just as Leo was about to lay her down, a sliver of reason returned to Lily. Wait, Leo. I want to change my clothes first. Ugh, that's too much trouble, Leo said, looking down at Lily in his sister's shirt. He paused, then decisively refused. We can just take a shower together later. Be a good girl, baby. Sharon and David Shepard got back around 7 in the evening, just as Leo and Lily were about to head back to Willow Creek Estates. The moment Sharon walked in, she noticed an unspoken, fidgety tension between the two of them. Leo was his usual laid-back self, but Lily's cheeks were flushed and her eyes kept darting away shyly. More importantly, they had both changed their clothes. It only took one look for Sharon to know her troublemaker son had definitely gotten up to something with this sweet girl while they were out visiting neighbors. Lily, why don't you stay for dinner? Sharon asked, deciding to play dumb. She was actually delighted. I can't, Mrs. Shepard. My sister's at home, and I need to go make her dinner. Lily shook her head gently. I'll come visit again soon. All right then. At least take some of this fruitcake back for your sister. His father and I don't really care for it, and the girls won't touch it. It'll just go to waste here. Sharon didn't want Lily to leave empty-handed. She'd taken a real liking to this bashful young woman and wanted to look out for her. Thank you, Mrs. Shepard. Lily, not wanting to refuse her kindness, nodded and sat on the sofa to pick some out. At first, Sharon was puzzled. Lily didn't seem like the picky type, so why was she inspecting each slice of fruitcake so carefully? It was only when Lily had meticulously removed every single piece containing candied citron that Sharon's eyes widened in understanding. She shot a look at Leo. This girl was truly, deeply caring for her idiot son. Leo, make sure you drive up to see your grandpa in a few days, Sharon said, her tone suddenly sharp. Thinking about Leo playing two girls at once made a knot of anger tighten in her stomach, chasing away her earlier cheerfulness. He's been calling me every day, asking if you're still busy. I'll go as soon as I'm done with work this week, Leo said, recognizing the storm warning in his mother's voice and agreeing immediately. And another thing, Sharon glanced at Lily, who was still focused on the fruitcake, then fixed her gaze on Leo, lowering her voice to a stern warning. I hope you get this situation sorted out before they graduate. Your father and I are too old to be cleaning up your messes. I will, Leo nodded repeatedly, the picture of obedience. His mother's willingness to turn a blind eye, for now, was exactly what he needed. Leo, I'm ready, Lily said, walking over to him with the bag of fruitcake. Leo glanced at the full shopping bag and grinned. Most girlfriends raid their own parents' house for food. You, on the other hand, hit the jackpot on your first visit to the in-laws. What are you talking about? Sharon swatted Leo's arm, then turned to Lily with a proud smile. Lily, if this one ever gives you any trouble, you tell me. I'll be sure to set him straight. Lily was already used to Leo's occasional smart-aleck remarks. She just shook her head, a faint, contented smile on her face. Sharon saw it and thought to herself, this girl is a true gem. Come on, Mom, that's just how we flirt, Leo grumbled, rubbing his arm. Don't get involved in our lives. Just enjoy your golden years with Dad, okay? You say one more word. Sharon raised her hand again, and Leo quickly grabbed Lily's hand and bolted for the door. You little brat, drive safely, Sharon called after them. Leo just waved a hand over his head without looking back, but Lily turned and gave Sharon a warm smile. What a wonderful girl, Sharon murmured to herself with a complicated sigh as the elevator doors closed. Back in the apartment, her phone buzzed with a text. It was from Chloe Miller. Chloe, happy holidays, Mrs. Shepard. Have you and Leo eaten yet? Chloe, I'm at my aunt's place for dinner. I thought we wouldn't see the moon because of the rain today, but it cleared up this afternoon. Screenshot, cute emoji. Sharon opened the picture. It was Chloe, flashing a peace sign at the camera, a brilliant golden moon hanging in the night sky behind her. Whenever Chloe had free time, she'd chat with her future mother-in-law, sharing little stories about her life with Leo or talking about their future plans. Sharon was usually quick to reply, often giving them gentle advice and worrying that her son would somehow manage to lose such a perfect girl. But now, seeing the name Lily Reed, who she had just added as a contact, in her phone, Sharon's heart twisted with anxiety. Facing two potential daughters-in-law, both of whom were absolutely wonderful, filled her with an indescribable sense of guilt. I have no idea how that little brat is pulling this off, she muttered. After sending a simple reply to Chloe, She tossed her phone onto the coffee table, her mind a tangled mess. A few minutes later, after a day spent anxiously holed up in a gaming cafe, the two sisters finally returned home, their nerves frayed. As Riley changed her shoes, she nervously scanned her parents' reactions. Sharon was on the sofa texting, and their dad, David, was busy in the kitchen. It seemed like nothing had happened. Riley glanced around at the intact furniture and breathed a sigh of relief, though a part of her was confused. This wasn't the scene she had imagined. Her parents didn't seem worried or upset at all. Could it be that Lily Reed never showed up? Sophie was also curiously observing the scene. She sat down next to Sharon with a bright smile. "Mom, where's Leo?" He drove back to his place. "Why?" Sharon replied evenly, subconsciously turning her phone screen off. "Oh, okay." Sophie's mind was racing. "Chloe was here today, right?" "Yes, with her parents," Sharon said, her expression unchanging. Sophie pressed casually, "Did any other friends stop by?" "No, just Chloe's family. No one else." Sharon stood up, feeling a pang of guilt. She didn't want to tell the girls about Lily. "All right, why all the questions? Go wash your hands. It's almost time for dinner." Dinner. Since there was no crisis, Riley was ecstatic. She bounced off to the bathroom, detouring through the kitchen to sneak a bite of food. Sophie, however, felt that something was off. She pulled out her phone, intending to probe Leo herself. But the moment she sent the message, her screen lit up with an error, and her jaw dropped. Message failed to send. The recipient has enabled friend verification. You're not on their friends list. Please send a friend request. How could this happen? Staring at the red exclamation mark in the chat window, Sophie bit her lip, a wave of anxiety washing over her. It was the sickening panic of suddenly losing something you thought was yours forever. "Riley, give me your phone." Sophie's voice was sharp with panic, her usual calm composure gone. Without waiting for an answer, she snatched the phone out of her sister's hands and frantically opened her messaging app. Leo's name was still there in the contacts list, which meant Leo had only deleted her. Sophie's head snapped up. She glared at her sister, her voice accusatory. "Did you tell him?" She couldn't believe Leo would just block her for no reason. Riley must have snitched. "No way," Riley cried, looking genuinely wronged. "I've been with you all day. You had my phone. How could I have told him anything?" Sophie was about to press her further when Sharon's voice cut in, laced with annoyance. "What's all the shouting about? You just got home. Go wash up for dinner." "I'm not hungry," Sophie snapped. She stormed back to her room, Riley's phone still in her hand, and slammed the door shut. "What are you two fighting about on a holiday?" Sharon asked, looking at a deeply troubled Riley. Riley just smiled weakly, not knowing what to say. In her room, Sophie used Riley's account to FaceTime Leo. He hesitated for a few seconds before answering. He was in the middle of eating. Sophie forced a shaky smile. "Leo, did you accidentally delete me? Add me back." "No time," he said flatly, his expression cold. He ended the call immediately. Undeterred, Sophie was about to try again when she discovered that Leo had now blocked and deleted Riley too. Now real panic set in. He definitely knew what she'd done. But Sharon had said no one else came over besides Chloe's family. So how could he have found out? After a moment of frantic thought, Sophie switched to her phone and dialed his number directly. She had all his contact info memorized. But her calls were instantly rejected, one after another. He was clearly determined not to speak with her. Refusing to give up, she sent a text message. "Sophie, Leo, give me a reason. Why did you block me?" "Leo, you know why." Sophie, getting desperate, "I don't know. Take me off your block list right now." "Leo, and if I don't?" His casual indifference sent a surge of anger through her. She typed out a threat. "Sophie, Leo, are you sure you wanted to tell Lily about Chloe?" After sending it, a sliver of regret pricked at her. She didn't want to burn this bridge completely. But right now, it was the only leverage she had. Leo's reply came back, seemingly conceding. "Hold on." Sophie let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. You had to make me force you." But what happened next left her completely stunned. An incoming FaceTime request popped up on the screen. It wasn't from Leo. It was from Lily Reed. Her heart pounding, Sophie accepted the call. Lily's sweet, pretty face filled the screen. Sophie froze, her smile awkward. "Lily? Why are you calling? Where's Leo?" Lily blinked curiously. "We're having dinner together. Leo said you had something you needed to tell me." "What is it?" Sophie's mind went blank. She never imagined Leo would call her bluff so brazenly, practically handing Lily the gun himself. It was as if he was daring her, telling her he wasn't afraid of her threats. This suicidal, scorched-earth tactic left Sophie utterly defenseless. She even started to wonder if Leo had somehow managed to get both Chloe and Lily on the same page, which was the only explanation for this level of confidence. Though she couldn't figure out what was going on, one thing was clear. She couldn't bring herself to say a word about Chloe. If she did, she knew with absolute certainty that Leo would hate her for the rest of his life. And nothing, Sophie stammered, fumbling to end the call. In a Willow Creek Estates villa, Leo looked at Lily, his own heart still racing. What did she say? That last-ditch, desperate move had been a terrifying gamble. If Sophie had decided to burn it all down and tell Lily everything, he would have been spectacularly screwed. She didn't say anything, Lily replied, shaking her head. Was it something important? Should I call her back and ask? Leo jumped. No, it's fine, not a big deal. Let's eat. Lily didn't question it. She put her phone down and went back to her dinner. What happened? Isabel asked, noticing the flicker of panic on Leo's face. Just a small thing. Let's eat, Leo said, waving it off dismissively. He had to hand it to the system. It understood his sister's personality even better than he did. He hadn't wanted to be so harsh. She was his sister, after all, but she had threatened him with this multiple times and had even deliberately manipulated Lily into showing up at his parents' house. If he hadn't gotten lucky today, if Chloe's family hadn't left early, he wouldn't be sitting here having a peaceful dinner. He decided Sophie's attitude needed a serious adjustment. He couldn't let her lead him around by the nose anymore. Just then, his phone buzzed with another message. This time, it wasn't from his sisters. It was from the little heiress, Eleanor Hayes. Eleanor, Leo, happy holidays. I went on a blind date today. My dad set it up. Offline mode. Oh yeah? Who's the guy? What's he do? Eleanor, American-born Chinese. His family's in business, super rich. And he's really handsome. Offline mode. Got it. Hey, you should come visit in a few days. I'm at my grandpa's place. You were nagging me about wanting to go, right? I can take you with me. Eleanor, okay. But I just told you I went on a date with another guy. Aren't you going to say anything? Offline mode. What am I supposed to say? Eleanor, Leo, you fucking moron. Are you even a little bit jealous? 1. Actually, I care a lot. I just didn't want you to see it. You're not allowed to like other guys. You belong to me, you little slut. Strongly recommended too. Me jealous? If I wasn't lucky today, you could be attending my funeral. Not recommended 3. You're the one who likes it when I'm with other girls. Why would I be jealous of you being with other guys? Recommended option 1 analysis. A girl with unique tastes will always care about the opinion of the man she likes. An occasional display of firm, possessive affection can be exceptionally effective. Offline mode. Actually, I care a lot. I just didn't want you to see it. You're not allowed to like other guys. You belong to me, you little slut. Ding. Eleanor Hayes' affinity has increased by 5 points. Current affinity, 100. Affinity cannot be increased further. She now considers you the most important person in her life. Eleanor, damn it, cursing me out while telling me you care. Our way of talking is so weird. And the worst part is, I love it. Offline mode. It must be fate. We're on the same wavelength. Anyway, send me a leg pic. Haven't seen you in a while. Miss you rose emoji. Eleanor, you really need to see a doctor about this leg thing of yours sweating emoji 12-second video. Despite her words of mock concern, Eleanor still lifted her skirt and aimed her camera down, sending him a 12-second video of her long legs. After dinner and a shower, Leo was alone in his room when he finally opened the video from Eleanor. In the clip, Eleanor had an expression of pity, like she was looking at a beloved idiot. The camera quickly panned down beneath her skirt, capturing a pair of pale, slender legs. For a breathtakingly beautiful woman, the daughter of Portland's wealthiest man, to personally film such a risque video for you was, in every sense of the word, completely surreal. He had no doubt that if he asked for something even more outrageous, she would probably do it without question. After all, this woman, a pristine white lotus in public, was a genuine deviant in private. Around 1 in the morning, after chatting for another hour, Eleanor was finally too tired to continue and sent a sleepy goodnight emoji before going to bed. Having narrowly escaped disaster today, Leo wasn't tired at all. He considered sneaking into Isabel or Lily's room, but figured they were probably already asleep. He went downstairs alone, crossing the vast, silent living room to the shimmering edge of the pool. The night had fallen, and a deep silence enveloped the villa. What do I do now? Leo sat by the pool, staring into the calm water. He dodged a bullet today, but you can't wrap fire in paper. The problem still needed a solution. He couldn't hide the truth forever. The thought of living a life woven from lies was exhausting. His silhouette looked lonely in the moonlight, a figure lost in deep, struggling thought. His eyes held a flicker of confusion, as if searching for an answer he couldn't find. The clear water of the pool reflected the moon like a giant mirror. A light breeze rustled his hair, bringing a chill with it. He frowned, feeling the cold loneliness of the night. Time ticked by as he sat there, melting into the darkness. Suddenly, a spark lit up in his eyes. An idea had struck him. His troubled mind began to calm, and a determined, almost predatory smile spread across his face. "It's already a dumpster fire," he murmured, slapping his knees as he stood up. "Might as well let it burn a little brighter. As long as the ending is good, who cares?" Feeling a sense of clarity, he walked back into the villa with a newfound confidence. The next morning, when Leo woke up, he vaguely heard a familiar voice downstairs. He rubbed his eyes, got out of bed, and went downstairs, a weary and tense smile on his face. On the living room sofa, Sophie and Riley were laughing and chatting with Lily Reed. Isabel was in the kitchen making breakfast. The harmonious atmosphere evaporated the moment Leo appeared. Both sisters looked at him nervously, especially Riley, whose anxiety was written all over her face. Sophie put on a sweet smile, acting as if Leo blocking her meant nothing. "Leo, it's almost 9. You're such a sleepyhead." Leo's voice was tense and impatient. "What are you two doing here?" After yesterday's events, just looking at his sisters filled him with an inexplicable irritation. The worst part was, he'd grown up with them. He couldn't bring himself to hit them, and yelling at them felt wrong. Blocking them was the only weapon he had. His sharp tone made Riley shrink back, but Sophie just smiled. "Hee, it's a 3-day weekend. We were bored, so we thought we'd come see our big brother. Wow, Leo, this house is amazing. How much did it cost?" Leo ignored her completely, walking straight to the bathroom to brush his teeth. "Did you two have a fight?" Lily asked softly. She'd been with Leo long enough to recognize when he was angry. "It's nothing, Lily," Sophie said with a dismissive wave of her hand. "It's normal for siblings to fight. He gets over things quickly." In reality, she knew this time was different. She couldn't just charm her way out of it like she used to. Sophie had been wondering why Chloe and Lily hadn't run into each other yesterday. After a few questions, she'd learned that Lily had been to their parents' house, but through sheer luck had missed Chloe. As for why their mom, Sharon, had hidden the truth about Lily, Sophie guessed it was because she was thoroughly impressed with Lily's sweet and steady nature. She was probably also worried that her daughters would spill the beans to Chloe and cause a disaster. Since things had come to this, Sophie figured Sharon was taking a wait-and-see approach, wanting Leo to choose between the two girls himself. Fine. Sophie decided she would help things along. She would back Lily, help her win, and push Chloe out of the picture. The main thing that still bugged her was that she had no idea how Leo had figured out she was the one pulling all the strings. A few minutes later, the two little girls woke up. Rubbing their sleepy eyes, dressed in loose pajamas, they stumbled into the living room like two lazy kittens and plopped onto the sofa, not yet fully awake, but looking adorable. With the Shepherd sisters visiting, Lily had gone into the kitchen to help Isabel with breakfast. The task of braiding the little girl's hair naturally fell to Leo. After he finished Maddie's hair, Grace glanced at him tentatively. When Leo smiled at her, she happily brought over a small stool and sat in front of him. Grace knew how to do her own hair, but in this house, the adults often offered to do it for her, so she wouldn't feel left out. At first, she was shy about it, but over time, the introverted little girl had grown to love the attention. Besides her sister, she especially loved it when Leo braided her hair. He was gentle, and the braids he made were beautiful. But unlike Maddie, who had openly asked for it, Grace was more like her sister. Even if she wanted Leo to do her hair, she was too shy to say so. Instead, every morning she would hold her hair ties and just stand in front of him, looking cute and spaced out. If Leo was already braiding Maddie's hair, Grace would deliberately go to the bathroom for a few minutes and wait. Once he was done with Maddie, she would reappear, hair ties in hand. Only after Leo smiled and beckoned her over would she happily bring her little stool and sit obediently before him. Sophie and Riley watched the scene in silence, a hint of jealousy on both their faces. Leo used to braid their hair just like that when they were little, though back then they would always complain that his braids were ugly. To make them happy, he'd often ask neighbors or their mom for tips. "All done. Go wash up for breakfast," Leo said with a smile, gently patting Grace's head. "Okay." Grace nodded happily and went to the kitchen, deliberately showing off her new braids to Isabel and Lily. After getting praised by both of them, a sweet, satisfied smile never left her face. Sophie smiled. "I'm surprised you still know how to braid hair, Leo. I thought you would have forgotten by now." In the past, Leo would have shot back. "It's because you two tortured me into learning." But now he just glanced at Sophie, then said to Riley in a lukewarm tone, "Go wash your hands and eat." Compared to his troublesome younger sister, Leo clearly preferred his rough-and-tumble older one. At least Riley didn't cause him problems. Oh, okay. Riley's spirits lifted at being addressed directly by Leo. Seeing that Sophie seemed upset by being ignored, Riley patted her thigh, signaling her to go get ready for breakfast. Throughout the meal, Sophie, usually so talkative, didn't say a word. She barely touched her food, keeping her head down, occasionally glancing at Leo with a look of hope and anxiety. Leo knew she was sulking, but he pretended not to notice. As soon as he finished eating, he prepared to leave for the office. "Are you avoiding me on purpose?" As he reached the garage, Sophie's voice came from behind him. Leo turned to see her standing there, her face set in a sullen expression. "Why do you think I'd be avoiding you?" Leo shut the car door and retorted coldly. "Why wouldn't I be avoiding your sister instead?" Sophie's lips parted, but no words came out. She knew he was telling her that he knew she was the one who orchestrated yesterday's events. Seeing her silence, Leo continued, "Let me ask you another question. Who is Ashley Williams?" Sophie's pupils contracted, and she guiltily looked away. "I don't know what you're talking about. Do you really think your brother is an idiot? That I can't see what's going on?" The memory of how close Lily and Chloe had come to meeting yesterday made his anger flare. "If you really want to ruin my life, then go tell Lily everything right now. Stop hiding in the shadows and taking cheap shots. I have no respect for that kind of childish behavior. It's pathetic, you know that." Sophie looked at him in disbelief. Two clear streams of tears rolled down her cheeks, her expression dazed. You hate me that much?" Seeing his little sister crying her heart out, Leo's resolve softened. He swallowed the harsher words he'd been about to say. No matter how out of line she'd been, he couldn't bring himself to be truly angry with the sister he'd grown up with. "If that's how you feel, then never come looking for me again," Sophie said, wiping her tears. She turned and walked out of the garage into the blistering summer heat. "Hey, it's hot out here. Come back. I'll drive you home. Do you hear me? Sophie, I'm talking to you." Leo shouted after her several times, but she didn't look back, just kept rubbing her eyes as she walked under the scorching sun. Leo had no choice. He went back inside, got Riley, and then ran after Sophie, forcibly picking her up and put her in the back of his BMW. Surprisingly, she didn't resist at all. Other than crying continuously, she was like a statue, letting him carry her around. When they got back to their parents' apartment complex, Leo turned to the sisters in the back seat. "I'm begging you to. Can you please just focus on school? Stop bothering your brother." "Who wants to bother you?" Sophie retorted, wiping her eyes as she opened the door and stormed towards the building. "Leo, actually about yesterday," Riley started. "I know everything." "Don't say it," Leo cut her off. "Go inside where it's cool, and don't bother me unless it's an emergency." "Oh, okay," Riley said, looking dazed. She opened the door, then turned back. "So, can you unblock me on my phone?" Get out, get out." Leo couldn't help but laugh, waving her away. "Ugh, these two are going to be the death of me," he sighed, a mix of frustration and helplessness washing over him as he watched them disappear. He knew he needed to find a time to have a serious talk with them before they cooked up some other scheme. At 6 o'clock that evening, while Leo was swamped with work at the office, his mom called. "Leo," Sophie fell down the stairs. She hurt her leg. "You need to get back here." "What? Is it serious?" Leo shot up, grabbing his jacket and car keys as he prepared to leave. "I don't know. We're still at the hospital. Just get here. Your dad's at the office, and Riley just helped me get her to the doctor. I'm going to pay the bill now." "Okay." After hanging up, Leo gave a few quick instructions to his department heads and then sped towards the hospital address Sharon had sent him. A 30-minute drive took him less than 20. He found the right floor and practically ran down the hallway to Sophie's room. Through the doorway, he saw her lying on the bed, her expression grim. Gone was her usual bubbly, sweet demeanor. She was just staring silently out the window. A nurse was carefully elevating and securing her right leg, which was now encased in a bright white cast. "How is she?" Leo burst into the room, looking anxiously between the nurse and his mother. "Is her leg okay?" "She'll be fine. It was just an accident. She should be healed up in a few weeks," Sharon said, looking up from the apple she was peeling. She seemed surprised. "Weren't you at the office? How did you get here so fast?" "Traffic wasn't bad," Leo replied distractedly. He walked over to the bed and gently touched Sophie's cast, his voice a mix of concern and heartache. "How could you be so careless?" Falling down the stairs. Sophie shifted, her eyes landing on Leo's frantic, worried face. The corners of her mouth turned up slightly, and she managed her signature sweet smile. "Leo, you're here." "Yeah, I'm here," Leo confirmed. Even though she'd caused so much trouble these past few days, seeing her like this He couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. He had looked after this girl for over a decade. I thought. Sophie tried to push herself up, but a sharp pain shot through her leg, making her wince. She forced a smile through the sweat beading on her forehead. I thought you weren't going to talk to me anymore. When did I ever say that? Leo exclaimed, quickly moving to support her shoulders. All right, you're hurt. Just lie still, don't move. He, my big brother, still cares about me. Sophie flashed him a playful smile, then turned to Sharon. Mom, I don't want an apple. I'd rather have some soup. They probably sell it here at the hospital. Okay, I'll go get it for you. Here, you can have this. Sharon handed the peeled apple to Leo and headed out of the room. After she left, Sophie tilted her chin towards Riley. Riley, you go with Mom. I need to talk to Leo alone. Oh, Riley glanced between the two of them, then left the room without another word. Once they were gone, the room became exceptionally quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Did you drive here? Sophie asked, looking at Leo, who was still sweating from his rush. Seeing him so disheveled and worried about her filled her with a sense of quiet satisfaction. Yeah. Leo felt a little uncomfortable under her direct gaze. He pulled up a stool and sat down, taking a bite of the apple. Sophie tilted her head back, a defiant smile playing on her lips. Leo, I want some apple. Fine, I'll peel one for you. Leo paused, set his half-eaten apple aside, and picked up a new one from the fruit bowl. I want that one, Sophie said, her eyes fixed on the apple he'd placed on the nightstand. It looks sweeter. Leo gave her an exasperated look. It's covered in my spit. You're not grossed out. No, what sister would be grossed out by her brother? She countered, perfectly reasonably. Stop saying weird things and just lie down. Leo sighed, focusing on peeling the new apple. Leo, I'll be honest with you, Sophie said, leaning back against her pillows, her hands resting on the blanket. She smiled sweetly. I did it on purpose. I was just trying to twist my ankle, but I miscalculated the number of stairs and overshot it. I almost hit my head. What? Leo was so shocked he almost cut his finger with the fruit knife. He shot to his feet. Sophie, are you insane? Why would you do that? Because you made me angry yesterday, and you deleted all my contacts. Sophie complained, a note of triumph in her voice. I just wanted to make you mad and get you to come see me. You. Leo was so furious he was grinding his teeth, but he had no idea what to do with her. He sank back down onto the stool, his voice full of disbelief and frustration. Why, Sophie? What did I ever do to you to make you act like this? No reason. You didn't do anything to me. I love you. The words tumbled out of her, shocking him. I love you, and if you ignore me, I'm going to act out. You're crazy. Just keep it up, Leo seethed. He placed the half-peeled apple back in the bowl and stood up to leave. Leo, I've loved you for years. Did you know that? Sophie's voice stopped him. It was trembling with a mix of hurt and deep emotion. As your little sister, I've done everything I can to get your attention. It's twisted and messed up, I know, but I just wanted you to notice me. Do you have any idea how much it hurts to throw yourself down a flight of stairs? But I thought, at least this way, you would come see me. I didn't even think twice, I just did it. Do you know how happy I was when you walked through that door? And do you know how overjoyed I was when I first found out you weren't my real brother? I thought I could finally be with you for real, but then you immediately found someone else. Do you know how heartbroken I was when Chloe came to our house for the first time? Every time I see you two together, you and that vixen, I hate it so much I can feel my teeth ache. I was here first. Why does she get to have you? She took a shaky breath, tears streaming down her face. Go on, leave. If you walk out now, then never come back, she cried out, her voice cracking. If you really hate me this much, then I swear I will never bother you again for as long as I live. You can go your way, and I'll go mine. We're not related by blood anyway. When summer's over, I'll move into the dorms. After I graduate, I'll get money from Mom and Dad and rent my own place, and I will never, ever disturb you again. I won't even come home after graduation. 1. Tell her the truth. We grew up together. How could I not like you? But you know my situation. I'm a player. Recommended 2. Mock her dismissively. I'd like to like you, but you're built like a little girl. I'm just not interested. Look at your friend Lily. Now that's more my type. Not recommended 3. Act overjoyed. A deal's a deal. This is great news. I'll book you a flight to Argentina right now. You can study abroad on the other side of the planet. Not recommended. Option 1 analysis. Respond to the girl's confession seriously. Then, lay out your reservations one by one to clarify your position. We grew up together. How can I not like you? Leo said, his voice strained. He then threw his hands up in surrender. But you know what I'm like. Your brother is a player. What's there to even like about me? Then can't you just be a player with me? Sophie pleaded, looking up at him, her voice choked with sobs. Fat tears rolled down her cheeks and onto the white bed sheets. I give up. Leo was so flabbergasted he almost laughed. All this drama, all these schemes, just so he would mess around with her? Seeing the helpless look on Leo's face, Sophie pressed her advantage, her voice a pathetic whisper. If you don't agree, then when summer ends, I'm going back to school, and I'm never seeing you again. It's clear you don't care about me anyway. Fine, go back. Out of sight, out of mind. Like I'm dying to see you, Leo shot back. He knew she was a master of threats. Giving in to her would be a mistake. He waved his hand dismissively and turned to leave. Leo, I was joking. Don't go. Sophie panicked. She started mashing the nurse call button and threw back the covers, trying to unhook her suspended leg. Are you crazy? Leo yelped, rushing back to grab her shoulders and stop her from dismantling her traction setup. I was just going to the bathroom. What are you screaming about? I don't believe you. You were going to leave me here alone. Sophie seized the opportunity, wrapping her arms tightly around his waist and sobbing into his shirt. Leo, please don't go. I really, really love you. I won't cause any more trouble, I promise. Leo's heart ached for her, but hearing her promise gave him an opening. Really? I find that hard to believe. It's true, it's true. I'll be good from now on, I swear. Sophie nodded frantically, mumbling pitifully, Leo, please don't leave. I was just saying all that because I was angry. Ugh, I must have done something terrible in a past life to deserve you too. Leo sighed, a mix of exasperation and affection in his voice. He sat back down on the edge of her bed and gently wiped the tears from her face. All right, stop crying. You're in high school. You're too old to be bawling like this. Sophie sniffled, feeling the soft touch of his fingers on her cheek. You've changed so much, Leo, she said wistfully. I like the old you better. The old me? Leo thought back, then grimaced. You mean the shut-in who lived for video games and web fiction? Sophie, you have unique taste. At least back then, you were genuinely good to us. Even if you were kind of a socially awkward dork, Sophie said earnestly, her hand closing around his. I still don't understand why you changed so suddenly. I think I'm doing pretty well now. And I'm still genuinely good to you, Leo shrugged. If he had to choose between being a socially anxious nerd and a confident social butterfly, the choice was obvious. He picked up the apple and fruit knife again. We should go visit Grandpa during the break. He's been calling every day asking when we're coming. Okay, I'd love that, Sophie agreed eagerly. Seeing him focused on peeling the apple, she asked, her cheeks flushing. So, does that mean you agree to, Noticing her hesitant, hopeful expression, Leo calmly cut a slice of apple and held it to her lips. Sophie paused for a second, then her face broke into a radiant smile as she ate the piece of apple. He hadn't said yes, but he hadn't said no. That was his answer. Sophie, I'm not as good at these games as you are. I can't outplay you, Leo said, his voice gentle but firm. I'm agreeing to what you want, but you have to promise me you'll behave from now on. I really can't have you interfering in my life anymore. Leo, you make me sound like some kind of evil villain, Sophie pouted. I don't have all these schemes to use against you. And even if I did, it's just because I love you. Leo gave a bitter smile. You're just a kid. You haven't even matured yet. What do you know about love? I know plenty. My friend Jessica told me all about it a long time ago, Sophie said proudly, then added in a low, teasing voice, and hey, how do you know I haven't matured yet? Have you been watching me in shower? Get out of here. You're nuts, Leo stammered, his face flushing as he instinctively glanced towards the hallway. Now you're blaming me. You're the one who brought it up, Sophie grumbled, then leaned in with an expression of genuine curiosity. It is weird, though. I'm almost 19. Why haven't I started growing? Hey. That's enough, you hear me? Leo interrupted, his heart pounding. Even if we're not related, you can't talk about things like that. Someone might hear. Isn't it normal to talk about these things with the person you like? Sophie wasn't embarrassed at all. She squeezed his hand earnestly. Leo, I really do love you. You better not be messing with me. All right, fine. After you graduate high school, if you still feel this way, I'll do whatever you want. Leo nodded distractedly, then added with a serious tone. And if you ever interfere in my business again, don't blame me for being ruthless. Got it. Then I need a down payment. Smack. Sophie leaned in quickly and planted a kiss on his cheek. She held his face in her hands like a sly little fox who had just gotten what she wanted, her eyes gleaming. Don't worry, she whispered, her voice a manic promise. I will love you more than either of them, especially more than Chloe Miller. P.S. Caught a nasty cold these last few days, sorry about that. We'll be back to a regular schedule tomorrow, and try to write some extra chapters. Sophie's leg wasn't badly broken, just a minor hairline fracture. With some rest and no strenuous activity, she'd be fine. Since she didn't want to stay in the hospital, Leo took care of the discharge paperwork and drove the three of them home. Yeah, don't worry, It's just a minor injury. I'm not coming back tonight, so you get some sleep. It's nothing serious. You don't need to come over. And don't wait up for me for dinner. Get some sleep. I'll be back in the morning. In the car, Chloe and Lily had called one after the other, asking where he was and if he'd be home for dinner. It was their usual routine. Since Leo often worked late for days at a time or traveled with film crews, they would almost always call to check in after they got home from school. Today was no different, except that after Leo told them about Sophie's injury, both girlfriends expressed their concern. Of course, with his mom and sisters in the car, Leo didn't dare get too flirty. From the moment he hung up, Sharon's gaze was like ice. Aren't you exhausted, living like this? Are you planning to lie to them, both forever? Sharon finally sighed, unable to believe that her once honest son was now brazenly two-timing two wonderful girls right in front of her. Sharon couldn't fathom how Leo could juggle conversations with both of them without his heart rate even picking up. As a bystander, just hearing their voices made her palms sweat with anxiety, terrified he'd slip up and expose the whole charade. Everyone in the car had heard his conversations. True to their personalities, the girls had asked different questions. Chloe just wanted to know if he was coming home, hoping he'd be there to chat and warm up the bed. Typical couple stuff. Lily's questions were more detailed. She first asked about his well-being, whether he'd eaten, and only then asked if he'd be home for dinner. The two girls were around the same age, but their approaches to the relationship were worlds apart. Chloe, with her lively, playful nature, was the perfect girlfriend for dating. Lily, with her steady, grounded personality, was the perfect woman for marriage. And the fact that her ridiculously capable son had managed to win over both of them was giving Sharon a massive headache. Leo had no defense. He just cleared his throat awkwardly and focused on driving. Just then, Sharon's phone buzzed. It was a text from Chloe. Chloe, Mrs. Shepard, how is Sophie's leg? Is she going to be okay? Mama Bear, she's fine, just a little sprain. The doctor said she just needs to rest for a while. A few minutes after she finished texting with Chloe, her phone buzzed again. Leo glanced at her in the rearview mirror and saw a soft, happy smile spread across her face. He didn't need to guess. This time she was talking to Lily. He'd never seen his mother wear such a genuinely content expression before. A few minutes later, Sharon put her phone away and turned to stare at Leo in the driver's seat. Lily said you're taking her to the old family estate in a few days. You met her parents last year. Yeah, Leo said, his one-word reply barely audible over the sweat beading on his forehead. You, forget it. I'm not getting involved. I can't, Sharon said, her lips moving as if to say more, but she swallowed the words and threw her hands up in defeat. You're not married to either of them. I guess the worst that can happen is when the truth comes out, their parents will just chew your father and me out. Leo coughed nervously. If only she knew I've met the parents of more than just two girls. And one of them I've known my whole life. Mom, you're kind of overreacting, Sophie said with a small smile. Young people date differently these days. Leo shot a surprised look at Sophie in the rearview mirror. She subtly raised an eyebrow at him, a clear sign of their new alliance. Sophie, has your brother's insanity rubbed off on you? Sharon asked, exasperated. So, are you saying your brother being a player is something to be proud of? Should I go hang a banner for him at the entrance to the neighborhood? Mom, is he really a player? Sophie asked, her eyes wide with feigned innocence. Think about it. He bought them both multi-million-dollar homes. He takes care of them every day, and he's never once thought about ghosting them. If that's what a player is, then what do you call the guys who sleep around and force their pregnant girlfriends to get abortions? Sophie pressed, her tone serious. A player is someone who abandons their partner and isn't responsible with their feelings. The way I see it, Leo isn't a player. At worst, he's just ethically challenged. He just needs a talking to. Oh, stop it with your nonsense. Sharon was momentarily swayed by her daughter's twisted logic, but she held firm to one principle. I don't know about all your fancy theories. I just know that in my day, if you weren't dating with the intention of getting married, you were a player, and your brother has met both sets of parents. What is that if not a player? Mom, you said it yourself. In your day, it's 2024. Young people don't think like you anymore, Sophie said, seizing the opening. Besides, he doesn't have a ring on anyone's finger, so how could he be a player? I'm not arguing with you, Sharon grumbled, unable to win against her sharp-tongued daughter. She turned back to Leo. But you listen to me. You need to handle the situation with these two girls, and you need to handle it well. If I find out you've been chasing after anyone else before this is resolved, I swear I will make you relive your childhood punishments. I know, Leo said, nervously rubbing his nose. He glanced at Sophie, who had also fallen silent. As if by telepathy, the moment he looked at her, she looked back at him. Their eyes met for a few seconds before they both looked away, a silent understanding passing between them. David Shepard was in Florida, trying to close a deal with a client. He was about to cancel his trip to come home and see Sophie, but Sharon insisted it wasn't serious. After a few concerned questions, he hung up. When the four of them got home, the electric wheelchair Leo had ordered from the hospital arrived. He and Riley hunkered down in the living room to assemble it. Sophie sat on the sofa, her chin resting in her hands, watching her brother and sister work for her with a faint, constant smile. Just then, the sound of a key in the lock announced Sharon's return from Walmart, bags of groceries in hand. She glanced at Leo and held up one of the bags. I got salmon and crab. How should I cook them? Steamed. Whatever works, Leo said without looking up. Sharon didn't say anything else and headed to the kitchen. The second you and Dad are back, Mom buys all the good stuff. I don't know why she bothers saving so much money, Riley grumbled as soon as Sharon was out of earshot. Leo, you should talk to her sometime. I'm not asking for gourmet meals every night, but we're well off now. Can't we live a little better? Because of their jobs, Leo and David were often away. Sharon, like most mothers of her generation, was frugal by nature, having gone through some tough years with David. Even with money now, she was never wasteful. Their daily meals were the same, as always. When she was too busy to cook, she and the girls would sometimes eat leftovers, which always prompted complaint from Riley that their mom was being cheap for no reason. Riley would then secretly hit Leo up for money to order takeout. It was only when the men of the house returned that the grocery budget expanded. Leo understood Riley's frustration. He grinned teasingly. What's there for me to say? I don't live here anymore. I'm free. Ugh, I despise you. Riley shot him a look and slumped down, hugging her knees and idly fiddling with the wheelchair's wheels. Leo sighed. Don't be lazy. Help me finish this. Nope, Riley hummed smugly. She defiantly rolled a screw towards him, a mischievous grin on her face as she rocked back and forth. You. Leo frowned and looked up, about to say something, but his gaze inadvertently drifted down. Riley was squatting in a carefree way, and the wide, round collar of her athletic shirt gaped open. Her well-developed chest was pressed against her knees, giving Leo, sitting directly across from her, a perfect view. You're ridiculous. If you're not going to help, then get out of the way, Leo muttered, flustered, wondering when his little sister would start acting more like a woman. It's almost done anyway. You can finish it, Riley huffed dismissively. She stood up, sat next to Sophie, and started scrolling through TikTok. Then, she mischievously stretched out her leg and used her toes to pinch the flesh at Leo's waist. When Leo raised a hand to swat her, she yelped eep and quickly retracted her leg, collapsing onto the sofa in a fit of giggles. No one ever knew what she found so funny, but everyone was used to this slightly unhinged member of the family. It seemed that every sister had this instinct to provoke their brother, no matter how much trouble it caused. This was probably why, even if a sister was as beautiful as a goddess, in her brother's eyes, she was always a monster. Leo absent-mindedly finished assembling the wheelchair, thinking to himself that girls really do change. The wild tomboy who used to follow him everywhere had somehow become so feminine. He happened to glance at Sophie and found her watching him with an intensely suggestive smile, her eyes seeming to see right through him. W? He asked, feeling a prickle of guilt. Leo, Sophie leaned in close to his ear and whispered with a giggle, You're such a pervert. I don't know what you're talking about, Leo muttered, his eyes flickering towards Riley's pale thighs. He rubbed his nose, his heart pounding, and pretended he hadn't heard anything. After dinner, Riley pushed the wheelchair while Leo carried Sophie on his back to the park in their neighborhood to test it out. It was electric, so it could move on its own. After Leo had pushed Sophie around for a few laps, Riley was itching to try. Sophie, let me have a go. I want to see if this thing can drift. Drift my ass. Don't go looking for trouble, Leo said, waving her away like a fly. Sophie just smiled at her sister like she was a lovable idiot. Riley, let's wait till my leg is better. If you break it, Mom will kill you. So you can tell on me. Riley pouted at the wheelchair for a moment, then, without warning, smacked Leo on the back and ran off, laughing. Ugh, when is that girl ever going to grow up? Leo sighed helplessly. Sophie just smiled. She only teases you like that because she likes you. Leo looked at Riley's elegant figure walking ahead of them. He didn't answer, just smiled faintly and continued pushing Sophie through the park. The park was quiet, as if time had stopped. Moonlight spilled down, illuminating the paths and lawns in a silvery haze. The trees stood silently, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Looking around at the peaceful scene, Sophie tilted her head back to look at Leo. Leo, this is so nice, she said wistfully. I wish it could always be like this. Leo frowned. That's a crazy thing to say. You're injured, not paralyzed. You want to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Sophie paused, then shrugged. If you could be by my side every day, it wouldn't be so bad. Did you hit your head when you fell? Leo scolded, pinching her soft cheek. I still haven't forgiven you for pulling that stunt. If you ever do something like that again, I swear I'm done with you. Sophie didn't struggle. Just let him pinch her cheek, her eyes fixed on his. Leo, does this mean you care about me? That Leo shot back. I'm your brother. Even if we're not related by blood, we've been family for years. If I don't care about you, who will? What about now? Sophie asked, her eyes shining with hope. Right now, are you my brother or my boyfriend? Or both? One, as long as you behave and don't cause me any more trouble, you can call me your brother, or you can call me your boyfriend. I don't care. Recommended too. Boyfriend, obviously. If we keep up this brother-sister thing, our parents will kill me. Recommended 3. How about neither? Why don't you just call me your husband? Strongly recommended analysis 3. For a girl with a strong possessive streak, compromise is only a temporary state. If given an inch, she will take a mile to secure her position. Leo had thought that Sophie was now on his side, but the system's analysis revealed that she was still determined to be the only one. As long as you behave and don't cause me any more trouble, Leo murmured, running his hand through Sophie's hair. You can call me your brother, or you can call me your boyfriend. I don't care. How about husband? Sophie blinked, her tone teasing. Leo was about to refuse, but then he thought about her strong-willed personality. A little flattery now could ensure her cooperation later. He agreed readily. Sure, as long as you're good, you can call me whatever you want. Really? Sophie's eyes lit up. She had only been joking, but she never expected him to agree so easily. Of course, but only when it's just the two of us, Leo added seriously. He couldn't even imagine what would happen if his parents heard her call him that. They'd ship him off to therapy with a restraining order. Well, husband, Sophie called out, her voice syrupy sweet, her eyes full of anticipation. Ugh, you're unbelievable. Leo sighed with a helpless smile, ruffling her hair again. The feeling of the girl he'd thought of as his sister for over a decade, calling him her husband, was both bizarre and unsettling, with an undercurrent of illicit excitement. It was late when the three of them got back home, around 9 o'clock. Leo showered and went straight to his room to sleep. Just as he was drifting off, he heard a muffled thumping sound. Who's there? Leo opened his eyes blearily. He saw a familiar figure hopping around in the darkness of his room and immediately frowned, switching on the bedside lamp. The harsh light flooded the room, revealing Sophie in pink cartoon pajamas. She was awkwardly balancing on her good foot, her hand on his bed for support. She gave him an embarrassed smile. Leo, you're still awake? I was about to fall asleep, but you woke me up, Leo grumbled. What are you doing in my room in the middle of the night? Practicing your zombie impression. Sophie replied smoothly. Riley's snoring is too loud. I thought I'd come sleep with you. As she spoke, she was already limping toward his bed. With a cheerful smile, she slipped under the covers. Leo, I won't be any trouble, will I? Sophie asked, snuggled in the blankets with just her head peeking out. You can have the bed. I'll sleep on the sofa in the living room, Leo said. He wasn't about to risk sleeping in the same bed as Sophie with his parents in the house. If Sharon saw them the next morning, she would definitely jump to conclusions. Leo, my leg kind of hurts, Sophie said with a pained frown as he started to get out of bed. Do you think the cast is loose? Let me see. Leo, believing her, immediately leaned over to check the cast on her leg, muttering with concern, You have too much time on your hands. You know your leg is injured, and you're still hopping around on it. The moment he bent down, Sophie leaned in and planted a quick kiss on his forehead. Leo froze. He knew he'd been tricked again. Sophie, Mom is still home. Can you please not do this? He begged. Why are you always messing with me? If you keep this up, I'm really done with you. No, you're not, Sophie whispered, pressing herself against him. You've been saying that since we were kids, but every single time I'm in trouble. Have you ever not been there for me? Leo was silent. It was true. That had always been his attitude towards both of them. It was how most brothers were. They acted like they couldn't care less about their sisters, but if they were ever in real trouble, what brother would actually stand by and do nothing? Even if they weren't related by blood. He had cared for Sophie as a sister for over a decade. The bond between them was real. Leo, Mom leaves really early in the morning. She won't find out, Sophie whispered, snuggling into his arms. I'll just lie next to you, and we can talk. I won't do anything else. Leo sighed. Isn't that my line? Fine, but you behave. No funny business, he grumbled, giving his pillow to Sophie and turning to face the wall. Thank you, Leo, Sophie whispered, overjoyed. She snuggled down and switched off the bedside lamp. Leo, It's a little cold, Sophie murmured in the darkness. Leo wordlessly pushed his own summer blanket over to her. Sophie hugged the cool silk blanket, still not satisfied. Leo, I'm still cold, she whined hopefully. Can you hold me while I sleep? Your scheming is so obvious, it's practically hitting me in the face, Leo said, turning back to face her in the dark. It's 95 degrees out. Are you insane? But I'm cold, Sophie pouted. She wriggled closer and pressed her small frame against him. There, that's warmer, she said with a contented sigh. Don't move, Leo. My leg is hurt, remember? Leo let out another sigh. He didn't dare move too much. His position was uncomfortable, so he resignedly wrapped an arm around her, pulling her closer. Feeling his movement, Sophie was ecstatic, letting out a few happy little hums. But Leo just held her, making no further moves, and seemed to be on the verge of falling asleep again. Leo, let's talk, she said. I can't sleep. Not talking, he mumbled sleepily. I have work tomorrow. Leo, want to hear a secret? Sophie said, ignoring his refusal. Do you know why Jenna used to bully me, but now we're friends? Huh? Jenna bullied you? When? That got his attention. You don't remember? Sophie prompted. That time in middle school, when I got cornered in the alley? That was Jenna and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was the one who broke your glasses. I told you, don't bring that up again, Leo muttered, embarrassed. Then it hit him. Wait, you're saying Jenna's boyfriend back then was in the 9th grade? Yeah, he was the school's famous bad boy. Jenna knew him way before you and your simp friends did, Sophie recounted. I remember he asked me out once, and when I turned him down, he said a bunch of nasty things to me. But you know your sister isn't one to take that lying down. I insulted him right back and threatened him, saying I had a video of him and Jenna sleeping together. He didn't dare bother me for days after that. Sophie's tone was triumphant. Later, when Jenna found out, she was afraid I'd leak the video, so she cornered me after school and threatened to make me delete it. And then, well, you know the rest. You came and played the hero. So that's what happened, Leo murmured, finally understanding. So, did you actually have video? Of course not, Sophie said, her sweet, innocent demeanor replaced by the smirk of a calculating villain. It was a total bluff. Who would want a video of that trashy girl who would do anything for money? To this day, that idiot is still worried I'm going to leak the video. Isn't that hilarious, Leo? Ha ha. Staring at Sophie's remorseless laughter, a chill ran down Leo's spine. He found it difficult to reconcile the calculating, dark-minded girl in front of him, who threw around words like slut so casually with the obedient, sweet little sister he thought he knew. You wouldn't use tactics like that on me, would you? He asked, his voice laced with dread. Sophie's sharp, mocking laughter stopped abruptly. Her expression softened back into its usual sweet smile. She reached out and caressed his cheek, her voice a deep, affectionate murmur. What are you talking about, Leo? I love you so much. Why would I ever hurt you? Besides, I'm only 19. Why do you think I'm so evil? Leo's mouth twitched. What 19-year-old has this many manipulative schemes up her sleeve? But it's not impossible, Sophie continued, her gaze fixed on him for a few seconds. Her voice turned wounded and angry. Unless you really, truly break my heart. Otherwise, I would never do anything to hurt you or to mess up your other situations. Ugh, having a sister like you is exhausting, Leo sighed, rubbing her head. All right, get some sleep. You won't grow if you stay up all night. Sophie looked up at him in the darkness, a curious glint in her eyes. Does sleep affect your height? I've never heard that before. I'm not talking about your height, Leo teased sleepily. Sophie froze for a moment. Then, understanding, she looked down at her own chest and pinched him, her cheeks flushing. She was undeniably beautiful, but her figure was more petite compared to Riley's. She was, as they say, a budding flower. The appeal of a girl like that was specific, petite, soft, and easy to overpower. But for a certain type of guy, a girl like Sophie was an obsession, someone to be worshipped and spoiled like a princess. Just then, Sophie burrowed deeper into his embrace, her small body pressing against his. A faint, soft pressure spread across his chest, accompanied by her shy whisper. I'm not that small, actually. What do you think, Leo? Oh my God, stop messing around and go to sleep, Leo said, flustered. He unconsciously shifted his hips back, trying to hide his body's reaction, but it was too late. Sophie's leg brushed against him. She paused in surprise, then a wicked, satisfied smile spread across her face. Leo, and you were giving me a hard time. You're such a hypocrite. Leo's face burned. He pretended to be asleep. Good night, you bad boy, Sophie whispered playfully, nuzzling against his chest. She finally quieted down, and soon her soft, Even breathing filled the silence. This girl is torture, Leo thought. He carefully untangled her arms and legs from his own and crept out of bed, planning to spend the night on the sofa. With Sharon in the house, he couldn't risk being found in bed with Sophie. But when he got to the door and turned the handle, his blood ran cold. The door was locked from the inside. He used his phone's flashlight to search the room, but the key was nowhere to be found. Glancing back at Sophie, sleeping peacefully in his bed, he knew she must have hidden it. He had planned to play games all night, since his PC was still on. But as he scanned the room, he realized his gaming chair, which had been there just a few days ago, was inexplicably gone. A horrifying thought crept into his mind. Did she plan all of this? Not just faking the accident to get me here, but every single step after? He paced the room for a few minutes, his hands on his hips, before finally letting out a defeated sigh. He tiptoed back to the bed and climbed in. As if sensing his presence in her sleep, Sophie unconsciously snuggled back into his arms. Whatever. To hell with it. We're not related by blood anyway, Leo thought, his resolve hardening. He wrapped his arms around Sophie's warm, soft body and closed his eyes. For the first time since they were adults, he and Sophie were sleeping in the same bed, his bed, locked in an embrace. Surprisingly, he slept soundly, without a single dream. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the gaps in the curtains, gradually brightening the dark room. Leo slowly woke up, feeling the weight of an arm across his chest. He rubbed his eyes and looked down. Good morning. Sophie was lying in the crook of his arm, looking up at him with a radiant smile, like a girlfriend who had every right to be there. She playfully tapped the tip of his nose with her finger. Waking up next to you feels so good, Leo. I'm so jealous of your girlfriends. They get to do this every day. 1. Use the head patting technique. What's there to be jealous of? You're my girlfriend now, too. As long as you're good, we can do this every day. Recommended 2. Slap her hand away. Stop messing around and get up. If mom sees us, she'll kill me. Not recommended 3. Start undressing her. Sophie, the early bird gets the worm. On this beautiful morning, your big brother is going to teach you a lesson. Strongly recommended option 3 analysis. A possessive girl will be obedient to the man she likes. Furthermore, this is an act that will deepen their connection. She would undoubtedly welcome it. What's there to be jealous of? You're my girlfriend now, too, Leo said, sitting up. He rested his hand on Sophie's head and gently ruffled her hair. As long as you're good, we can do this every day. Hey, then I promise to be good forever. Sophie beamed, throwing her arms around him. She tilted her head back, her tone demanding. Leo, kiss me. Sharon was already up. He could hear the hum of the stove from the kitchen. His heart hammered in his chest. Stop it, he whispered frantically. I haven't even brushed my teeth. Aren't you grossed out? Nope. When have I ever been grossed out by you? Sophie said dismissively. She grabbed his shoulders and tried to pull him down for a kiss. I loved you when you were a total slob of a nerd. Of course I love you now. Hurry up, hurry up. No, wait, I'm not ready, Leo stammered, twisting his head away. The thought of his mom right outside the door was sending him into a full-blown panic. Leo, get up and eat breakfast. Hey, why did this brat lock his door? As if on cue, a series of sharp knocks echoed through the room. It was Sharon. The doorknob rattled furiously. The sound sent a jolt of pure terror through Leo. If Sharon walked in and saw him and Sophie in bed together, it would be worse than any disaster he could imagine. Hurry up, or I'll scream, Sophie whispered, a devilish, triumphant smirk spreading across her face. You wouldn't want mom to see us hugging like this, would you?